Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
We're here to talk about...
Oh, Hellraiser.
Yeah, that's why I pointed at you. This is a pretty crappy looking studio setup we got going here because
once
again...
the setup lights get here, and then the
back
wall
opens
slowly
up.
back.
Yeah, I have been gone on rants before about people who make crappy quality YouTube videos, and now I'm here making one because...
What a hypocrite.
Yes, absolutely. And it hurts my soul. Like, deep down in here, I don't like it. But this room's a mess. We have not
Does
finished...
it tear your soul apart?
No. We haven't finished construction on this house yet, so this is still not a studio, but Hellraiser has a little bit of a place in our history. Obviously, if you follow this channel, we did the podcast with the 9 movies. Yes, there's the 9999 joke, which we're not going to mention who does it. But then there were 10 movies, and we talked about that one. So just like Prey, we're kind of obligated to come here and talk about Hellraiser, even though I feel like
But
we
also
look like...
because Kyle and I are still friends.
Barely.
And we wanted to talk about it anyway, so we might as well do it on camera.
Yeah, I mean, shit, you watched it literally before...
How many hours ago?
Yeah, right, and I wanted to watch it today at work because I wasn't going to wait. So, I guess the point is the last Hellraiser movie was good enough that I was interested in more, whereas when we did the original 9, number 9 was the worst movie because it was so cheap and crap that I don't want to go through this again. But because the last one was actually pretty decent, and this one looked decent, much like Prey was kind of, when you saw the trailer, you're like, this looks interesting, I do want to watch it. Not because I'm forcing myself to, because I want to. Luckily, we're forcing ourselves to because we want to. So here we're doing a video about it just because you guys probably expect it from us because we do the Hellraiser shit. So, we are doing Hellraiser 2022 because now you have to refer to it by the year number.
But I'm going to give him some credit a little bit because, it is just... I guess we're getting right into it. It's not a sequel. Well, I guess we'll talk about that.
But none of them really are, except for the second one. And maybe the 5th or 6th one.
That's not true. That's not true.
Because Kirsty...
She shows up in movies later.
No, she shows up in the first 2. And then she shows up in either 5 or 6. I can't
later.
Remember. Yeah, but only one of those. 3 is not
still a sequel.
4 is the one where 4 is the prequel one in
yeah, but it jumps around. It's
and
still
there's
sequel
space.
but it still maintains some kind of continuity, whatever it is.
But does it though? If there's no characters from it's just another story with the box in it.
No, but it's still they're not.
Okay, and then by 7, 8, 9, we're talking. Well, see,
I guess
9,
I'm calling this a reboot. This is a reboot.
It's a soft reboot, sort of.
Okay. So my point is,
and I don't want to get to just defining what the fuck is.
Yeah, I'm not interested in doing that either. But my point is that Halloween 2019,
whatever Halloween movies,
2018, whatever. What a fucking mess! It's a sequel to the first one, but it's just called Halloween.
Oh, it's kind of like Return to Monkey Island, where it's a sequel to the second Monkey Island, and the other ones don't count.
This is a soft reboot. No, it's not. It's a sequel to the original Halloween, and instead of calling it Halloween subtitle, they just call it Halloween.
In that case, you actually have Jamie Lee Curtis and returning.
It's a sequel. It literally takes. It's a sequel.
But this one, I'm talking about Hellraiser.
But I'm saying this one. No, this could just easily have nothing to do with anything. So I think it's totally fair to just call it Hellraiser.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, but also, I don't like to refer to... I made the thing on Twitter about Dawn of the Dead 78 versus Dawn of the Dead 04.
Yeah.
I don't remember any other movies in my vocabulary that I've ever had to say the year on it. Like The Thing. You don't say The Thing 82 because you don't. Right. No one cares about The Thing 2011.
But now Halloween, you got 3.
That's just because that series is a mess.
It is. But
how many Halloween 2s are there? Multiple, right?
Well, I mean, whether you're going to call it a number or
not. Here's the thing. Everyone who's watching this video...
it's called Halloween Kills.
Well, that's different. I'm talking about... Because Rob Zombie made Halloween and Halloween 2.
That's true.
But isn't the original...
You're right. There's 2 Halloween 2s. There are technically 2 Halloween 2s. Okay,
there's whole videos about that. I don't want to...
Yeah.
So anyways, we're on Hellraiser 2022. Or Hellraiser 22.
Hellraiser 11.
It's directed by the guy who did The Ritual.
David Bruckner.
And The Signal, which I have seen both of those.
I didn't know he did The Signal. I haven't seen that movie.
It's good.
That's a while back.
That's the one where they're like in a VR sort of thing.
I don't know.
It's weird, but I like it.
I thought it was more of a zombie thing. I didn't know.
I hope I'm thinking about the right one.
I don't know.
It's got Lawrence Fishburne in it.
He definitely did The Ritual and he did The Night House.
So The Ritual. Oh, he did The Night House. Yeah. Oh gosh, we were talking about that before we started doing this too.
That's why I thought you were bringing it up.
No,
like you watched it as research or something.
So even before we get into the specifics of it, I know you don't like doing a 10-point scale reviewing it, but just off the bat, how is this movie?
It's good.
It's good. I said, 8 out of 10. You said 4 out of 5, which is 8 out of 10.
I just, that I hate doing that because if you looked at my letterbox, it's just like either I don't put any stars or I put 5 stars. That's about it. So I gave it 5 stars, but if you're making me do this, I said 4 out of 5 stars, and then you did the math, and you said 8 out of 10.
The math, like you couldn't just automatically do that in your head. The thing with that, there's a lot of movies called The Signal.
I'm remembering one that was like...
This is a great waste of time right now.
Yeah, sorry. But you're the one who brought it up. I don't know.
I just really want to know if the one that I watched is the one directed by him.
I didn't see it.
Oh, no, it's not. That's a totally different movie.
Okay.
Okay, then I have not seen that Signal. I've seen The Signal.
The Ritual, I think, might be his directorial review.
I think The Ritual is so fucking good.
I agree.
I think The Night House was so good.
Yeah. I don't think that's your next question, right? Because if you're making me put it on a scale, if these are the 3, if I'm going to say my David Bruckner movies on the scale, it's my 3rd favorite David Bruckner movie.
It's one of
But it's my 2nd favorite Hellraiser movie.
Damn, this one also is not The Signal that he directed. Are we sure he directed something called The Signal?
No, you brought that up.
I feel like someone said that.
I didn't. No, I don't know. But there was an indie movie called The Signal. That was
There's multiple movies called The Signal. That's okay. Here it is. This one I have not seen, but it is The Signal.
But it's directed by David Bruckner.
Yes.
Okay.
So he did. Okay, but it's not.
That was a while back, right? Like
2007.
So it had been a minute since he had done a movie.
No, actually, it had been multiple years, not a minute. But
I love The Ritual. I've only seen it one fucking time on a plane.
You told me that story.
And I need to watch it again. But I love that movie.
So the reason why this is kind of like important in a way is you come in going, okay, this guy is knocked out of the park at least 2 times in a row. I haven't seen the movie, and just like The Ritual was just, you could make comparisons to Blair Witch, but it had its own feel and it had its own style and it felt fresh.
It certainly had an original monster.
Night House has similarities to other movies like it, but it felt unique and fresh and whatever. And then you have this and you're going, okay, this is definitely not to the quality of the other ones. It's still okay.
It's still good.
But it sucks because I'm like, is it because of him or because of like
no, I think for what movie they're trying to make. So I think that
like what studio did I don't even know.
I don't either actually. I mean, it must have been part of a Fox deal because I think this is the same thing that made it so Predator can only be on Hulu and not in theaters.
Well, I'll tell you this: the movie literally starts with the stupidest thing I've ever seen in a movie. Hulu presents a Hulu original. Well, no shit. If you made a movie for Netflix and Netflix presented it, would you really be surprised?
That's pretty important, Kyle, if you're the head of Hulu Originals at Hulu Entertainment.
You just needed to get that, we're Hulu. So,
I think that what you're trying to put your finger on is that, and I said this when the trailer came out, and I said, I don't know why this movie feels 90s to me, and it's not a 90s movie at all.
It doesn't.
No, not at all. But I think even why the thing that I'm trying to put my finger on for saying that is
not your butthole.
Yeah. It doesn't really, it feels just more like kind of a studio, not a studio film, but like they're trying to hit points. They're like, there's an expectation of what a Hellraiser movie should be and like what kinds of things that they should be doing. And then it still feels like it should have been in movie theaters. So they wanted like a horror movie experience in the movie theater. And so it didn't quite feel like The Ritual or The Night House, which I felt like were
right.
more
And I wonder why is it a budget
films.
thing why those movies looked so good and were so unique? And
I thought this movie looked good.
I don't know why. I'm on IMDb and I'm just trying to find information, but I don't know. It doesn't say who produced it. I'm just I am wasting time. This is a terrible review.
I'll talk.
I hope that people like us enough that they want to keep watching this, because if you don't know who Alpha Rookie is and you're watching this is terrible.
I don't think anybody is watching us that doesn't know who we are. But
considering that we're so demotivated because before, and I'm just sitting here on a tablet looking up information, but before we did this, I left work today. I was like, I'm going to go to YouTube and type in Hellraiser review. I want to see what's out there. There's already dozens of it. And I'm thinking it's literally the day it came out and there's already dozens of reviews. Why are we doing this? And it came back to only because you guys probably expect us to. So,
fair enough.
And I know you guys miss us and you love us and you want us to make videos, and I want to one day. But right now, this is just cheap conversation.
Okay.
And we're not charging patrons for this stuff. You know what I mean? This is just going up.
I don't know where we're at now because I'm lost by myself. But
we haven't started on the movie yet.
I would say. So I'll start by saying again. I already
co-production between Spyglass Media Group, Phantom 4 Films.
No idea.
That's it. So it was shot in Serbia or Bulgaria or something like that. And you know what? I remember the old Bruce Campbell movies when you're like, yo, he's making a European movie. And like it looks like an American movie. It's all in English. The actors can speak English, but the cars don't feel like American cars, right? You know, this is one of those things where let's save money and shoot it overseas, and that always has some detriment to not feeling quite up to snuff.
I kind of felt like that matches though, because in Hellraiser, like the original Hellraiser, I couldn't tell you what. I still can't tell you. I've seen that movie a lot of times. What city does it take place in?
It doesn't. It takes place in a house. It doesn't.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Like it's just kind of.
This is a little bit different. They do go out. I mean, I do like in the beginning of this movie. It's like you do the shot, the crane shot or the helicopter shot, drone shot now, known as helicopters, and you're in Serbia to get it, and then you go to Massachusetts. I'm like, okay, we're in America, even though they shot it all.
Which I was kind of like, do they really even need to do that? But like. I still liked it. I like. You have to have something in the Hellraiser movie. Look, in the original Hellraiser movie, you have him in somewhere. They don't say. Did they even say where? He's like in. Who fucking knows?
Who cares? But yes, it was shot in Serbia.
Like, oh, what's your pleasure, sir? You know that thing. You know, you got to have like, oh no, this box comes from not America. Like, it's been around a long time, and it's been doing some crazy shit other places. Oh, you're right, Massachusetts. I was just like, well, I couldn't tell you where it is. Like, it's Massachusetts.
Right off the bat. And this is a little bit farther into the movie, but I need to know right now, because I had this lingering in me, and I didn't want to go back and have to watch it. Do they ever do X amount of years later? There's the intro?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
6 years.
Okay. Because when they...
missed it. It's 6.
Because when they go to Massachusetts, they say the city in the name.
Yeah.
And then it's immediately people having sex.
Yeah.
In the most awkward way. Is this the good speed? I don't want to... You know, I have a comment later that's about
nobody wants to hear
nudity in a movie and gayness and even heterosex. I don't want any of it.
Oh, I don't.
But regardless,
I want to watch all the people.
I remember seeing Massachusetts, but I don't remember seeing a time change because one of the characters in the intro is now older.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember saying that it was older. But if you're saying 6 years, then that's good. Okay.
It says 6.
All right. So now we're really going to start this discussion review.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to put it out there. The first 10 minutes of this movie, whatever that little intro is, I was already really bummed. I thought this was going to be bad.
Oh, I liked it.
I thought it was so bad.
You mean you're talking about our like crazy rich occultist guy, right?
Nothing wrong with him. The speed at which, for a 2-hour movie, the speed at which the intro goes and the dialogue is so bad because it's just like, here's our exposition in like X amount of minutes. It was... You don't want to waste time creating a character who then dies in the beginning because you're like, oh, why did you waste time building this person up? You're gonna kill him. At the same time, if you kill an inconsequential nobody, I don't care.
But the movie also didn't care because it was happening. Like that's what I thought was neat about it is he was being torn apart like in the background.
In the background, yeah.
And what it told you about this guy's character was that he also doesn't give a shit. This is like the third or fourth person that he's done this with now, and. I was kind of already smitten because I love the line where he's like, "Do I get a prize?" He's like, "I do."
Right.
I thought that was. I just like that line.
I just the kid's walking. I mean, he seems like a young, pretty boy, whatever. He's walking through the very debaucherous party. It's like nothing's happening. There's like people. Oh, they might be having sex in the corner over there. I can't really tell. But they're trying to get the point across, like, ooh, rich, lavish, anything goes here.
Right.
He walks up to the bar and he's like, hey. Hi, I'm Joseph. They call me Joey. And she's like, oh, I'll call you Joey. And I'm Serena. Do you know the guy, Mr. Voight? Oh, I do. I work for him. He would like to meet you. You didn't know this kid's name 5 seconds ago, and you're already saying he would like to meet you. I would have liked a little bit of interaction between the two of them to at least build him.
Well, later they say that he's a sex worker, so I just kind of assumed...
Oh, and research?
She was going off, I mean, no, I know nobody pays attention to that stuff, but...
I might have been fast-forwarding to that part. Everyone knows and hates me. They watch this. I was literally running out of time to watch this today so we could do this thing tonight, and I had to fast-forward, but not through dialogue.
Yeah.
I fast-forwarded to, like, people walking and stuff like that. So.
I know it's not my job to do that, but I kind of just filled in all those blanks. I was like, he's a sex worker that was hired to meet Mr. Voight, who doesn't know any fucking idea who that is.
But he wasn't.
He shows up at a party, and he's like, I'm just looking for this guy. Where is he?
I don't know why I'm going to complain about something that's... It didn't set the right tone. Like, if I was watching this movie and I didn't have a connection to Hellraiser,
Yeah.
I would have been turned off with.
But that's what I think that scene was for people that have a connection to Hellraiser. I think that was.
It lays
I think that was for more. I think they were thinking, hopefully this is intriguing enough for somebody that has no idea what's going on. But I felt like it was more for like, oh, we've all seen somebody torn apart by Shane's like a million times now in this franchise.
It's just that it set the plot.
Okay.
It definitely set the plot. Who he is, who Serena is, his assistant. Getting the box, how he treats people and how he wants their whatever. It just did a thing where I go, this is a bad way to do that.
Fair enough.
You could have made it a little bit like I don't like long movies. I do like movies that are. I mean, I do love long movies. I also like movies that are short and concise. This is one of those things where this isn't a short movie, but this scene needed to breathe a little bit more to get a little bit more gravity to it. Because at that point, you would have been like, okay, maybe this is a main character of our movie. We're moving forward, and boom, oh, I was not expecting him to be ripped apart like this so soon.
I do think the movie had, I wouldn't say like pacing issues that makes it seem like I'm aware of it.
No, that's the only part.
But
I think the rest of the movie is paced perfectly.
I had some actual pacing issues later.
Now, maybe I didn't have pacing issues because I was fast forwarding, but
like you. I can still hear you.
I don't want to say it out loud, but I want them to know. But I pleasantly surprised by how much I actually liked all the characters.
Yeah, me too.
How they portrayed themselves, how the pacing of the movie went. The locations were fine. It's not up to the level of The Ritual. It's not up to The Night House.
No.
But as a Hellraiser
but it's
movie,
a more commercial movie.
Which is weird because you would think it would get a bigger budget if it was more commercial. But considering the Ritual was only on Netflix. Yeah. No Blu. I mean, there might be a Blu-ray now, but it was no.
No, there ain't no Blu-ray. This is very important to me, Kyle.
So when you look at something like that and you go, "This has got a name brand. It's going to be premiered on Hulu." Yeah. Granted, this was shot before Prey had any kind of like influence, but Prey was a big. I mean, Hulu said it was like the most thing watched ever, and I bet you this Hellraiser, judging by how many reviews were on YouTube,
any of that stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Judging by how many were on YouTube, this franchise still has a name.
I hope they watch it this weekend. And
wait, sorry. This was actually the last horror franchise from the 80s that didn't get its full reboot. Now it finally has. Like all the other, like Halloween.
Yeah.
I didn't really read the list, but it was like all the, they were trying to do the Dark Pictures, or the movie, what is it, the Wolfman, all that stuff?
Yeah.
The Universal
ones.
Those
are the Universal ones, but yeah.
Whatever they said that there was that group
but
of
the
like
Platinum
80s.
Dunes did all the 80s ones.
Chucky has been rebooted. So Pinhead was the last one or Hellraiser was the last one to like get it a new thing. So that was this completed the not trifecta, but however many it was. Anyways, yeah. I made you forget what you were going to say.
No, that's okay. I was just going to change the subject a little bit if that's okay. I wanted to ask you, what did you actually think of the well, I was about to call it the lament configuration, but this was kind of a neat thing with the movie, is that we've just seen it as a lament configuration.
You're saying that after earlier we were having a little discussion in the house, not about Hellraiser, and you said, I don't need to know in a movie.
I don't.
We were talking about It Comes at Night, and he's like, I don't need to know what it is.
Yeah.
And I said, that's the problem, is that I like to know enough to world build, but I maybe don't need to know the solution to the problem.
But I think they gave you a proper
one was world building.
Yeah, but
I liked it.
But it didn't
liked it, so you're a liar.
True. But they didn't over-explain anything. I didn't feel like.
If anything, they under-explained it a little bit.
No, I'm hungry for more. I'm
hungry for more. Why is that a joke in my mind? There's something about that.
Hungry for worms?
Yes. Hungry for words. Yeah, okay.
So I was going to ask you, what did you actually think of the design?
Loved it.
I thought it was really rad.
I thought it was good. And it looked practical.
I wanted to ask you, because I can't tell sometimes now. I have no idea. How much of that was practical? How much of it was CGI?
Pinky up. I think it was...
you're going to blow my mind with some kind of, like, tea trivia or something.
No, I'm a fancy motherfucker.
Yeah.
Finger up. Pinky up.
Because they're holding it and stuff. I just want to see now special features and shit, like Blu-ray, please. Like I want to see if somebody designed that. I want to know.
I spilled water all over myself, by the way.
You did. It's okay. You have a drinking problem.
I'm an idiot.
Actually, I'm the one with the drinking problem.
I've actually been drinking the last 3 nights. So, I think that there are times where it was CGI, but it was done well in a way that you can tell. The part where it's in a bag and you see it moving,
right, yeah.
It's just. But no, it
sounded good. The sound effects, like. I wanted to play with it, even though, you know what I mean? Like, obviously I don't.
I would never.
But...
Because they have replicas, and I've thought about buying one, and I'm like, I don't know.
She sticks her finger. Oh, God. Like, what are you doing?
Which led to that really interesting scene when the Cenobite does it, and then it puts a hole in her chest.
It was like I think it was like a dream.
Yeah. Oh no, it was.
Yeah.
Chains him out.
But that was cool.
You know what? My wife just said like, "Oh, when are you gonna come in tonight after recording this?" I'm like, "It's not gonna be late because we're starting early." And there's actually so much I want to talk about now. Like so much I want to talk about.
Yeah.
But I want to try to.
I'm just trying to find starting points. So
I know. I'm gonna try.
What did you think of this iconic thing? You liked it. Okay. What did you think of?
But that I like to go in order usually as much as possible.
Yeah,
so
well,
that happens later in the movie. So when I get there, so we'll start with Joseph's in the beginning. This place is incredible. I want to meet Mr. Voight, and then it leads to him playing with the lament. Well.
It's not a lament.
It's not lament at that point.
I don't remember what it is at that point. It's
I was gonna write it down, but I said I don't need to know all that exactly.
Kind of fun. It's kind of fun.
And so the difference now is that the box it pokes out a little razor, or a knife, and it stabs you.
Yeah.
And that's what marks you.
Yeah, and I think this is smart because we've had all these Hellraiser movies, and I would say a lot of the rules actually are pretty nebulous. I don't know that they're always like. We kind of made jokes about it. It's like, oh, well, you open the box, and like, you open the box, we came, But you're kind of like, wait, what if I get you somebody else? So it's like, okay, but they established that.
Well, that happened.
They just want a sacrifice.
The second one established the idea, like, I'll get somebody else for you.
Right, and they did that multiple. I feel like they did that in other things too.
I feel like this is a Bill and Ted with death.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're having a conversation. Don't just chain me up.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about her. I remember when Nora gets fucked up later in the hall, whatever.
That.
I remember thinking that like
exchange
there, and I was gonna be like, hey, while we're talking, can we talk about this first?
Yeah.
Hey, if you're gonna rip me apart, can you please explain to me like, so is magic real?
Yeah.
Are vampires real?
Yeah.
Like
this is like what you try. You know that thing where you try to get your teacher to talk about something they're interested in the hopes that like they're gonna run out the clock.
Yeah. Not even that, but it's just like, hey, if you're gonna do this anyways,
can you just tell me more about it?
Is heaven real?
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like, is God real?
Yeah.
Like, because these demon-ish things, but whatever.
So the knife, I like this because now it's just like, it's not just about opening the box, it's about getting it in the correct configuration.
It's also unfair. It was when you were talking about, the like, let's make a deal and bring another one. The fact that you could take the box, have the knife come out and go, it didn't touch me.
Yeah.
Stab you.
Yeah.
You talk about
that makes it interesting.
It does, but you mentioned the rules being nebulous.
I thought so.
Use, right? Here you go. Hey, I didn't agree to this. The whole point of the box, because now we have to call it the box, not the lament configuration, because it's not always the lament configuration, whatever, is that you kind of go, the whole premise of Hellraiser from the very beginning was always, and this was actually a plot device I was really hoping what they would kind of explain, they never did. And again, it's like I said, I'm not a writer, but I bet you if you gave me a pass at your script and I would add maybe 15 lines of dialogue in the entire movie, would make your movie that, like, a lot better just from that little bit, was the simple fact of you're supposed to be consciously choosing to do this in a way, or you're being enticed and you're choosing to. It's not always what I don't remember. Frank in the first one, he was looking for sensation.
Right.
He was. I've probably been pedophiled around the world. Like he's done everything because it was very. Yeah. I don't know why it makes me think that, but it feels like he's.
What was the word that they used in the movie? They said, moving past. What did they say? Another. Forget it. Never mind.
I don't know.
Just like she says, like you can never go back. You can never go back. Thresholds. Yes.
You cross the threshold, you can't go back, but you can find new thresholds. Right. So I was always, rule wise, was always you could be. I'm seeking, and I'm curious enough and wanting to do this enough that I'm going to lead myself down a path of destruction. The other one was you're going to entice me with like, hey, if you do this, you're going to get what you want. Like a monkey's paw kind of thing.
Right.
This one felt like, hey, that's unfair.
So I would say this. I'll be a Leviathan's advocate. So I think that they're also bullshit. Like because we talked about them before as evil genies, and
there you go.
And I thought this movie did a very good job of like taking the idea that was kind of there, and then like really thematically putting that like right there. That's kind of talking about the end of the movie, but like really putting that in stark relief that I don't want to get to the end of the movie. We don't want to talk about spoilers or anything, right? But like,
no, I mean, obviously, yeah. If you're this far in, you know we're going to spoil everything. But
because last time when we talked about Predator, we kind of just decided at some point to then.
Oh, then we're going to push forward. Yeah, no. But what you're saying is that Hellraiser 2 did establish a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So you talk about it being a reboot. This is a reboot of the first two movies together, and I like that because 2.
Because he
opened
did it with the
doors.
little girl. Because he gave the little, even in 2, he gave the little puzzle, the girl the puzzle, and she doesn't care about opening up things and portals to other realities. She just wants to solve the puzzle. That's all she wants to do. I don't know when's the last time you saw Hellbound.
No, you're right. I didn't think about that.
But I was trying to think, because if you're talking about the crazy guy the guy who thinks he has all the bugs on him, he's not sacrificing him to a Cenobite. It has nothing to do with the lament configuration. He's just sacrificing him on top of the bed.
He was feeding him to the girl to get her
the blood.
Yes. No, I know that.
Yeah.
No,
Which we didn't get any of that in this movie. They didn't do anything about people escaping. No.
Oh, well,
No.
Teeny bit.
Well, we'll have to talk about it then, I guess.
It cracked the door open to it. It was a possibility, but she chose not to go with it.
Yeah.
No, but anyways, the idea.
Fair enough. Yeah. Oh, see, I didn't even think about that. That's resurrection.
And if
that's what it would have looked like.
You notice when she hugs him too. It was very skin.
I love this movie. I take it back. I'm going higher. This is exactly what I did with Predator. Start finding more things that I like about it.
This is why we want to do these kind of reviews and have discussions. And
all the things I like about it have to do with the end of the movie, and I can't talk about it yet. So
I always say, like, don't put a big name actor in a character. And I read this actually about the new Mario movies coming out with Chris Pratt and the voice. Have you seen the trailer?
Yeah, but I don't think I watched it on my phone.
It's just the voice of Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
But a pitched higher, right? But the idea is, like, someone was saying, like, take all these iconic characters in these movies.
Am I a horrible person? I just thought, like, yeah, it looks okay.
Oh, no, I think it looks a lot of fun. I just don't like the whole Chris Pratt
the way the Koopas looked.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay.
My kids were going to go, and they're going to, like, we're all going to like it.
All right.
Bowser's voice should be a little bit more growling. Jack Black did a... Problem is you hear Jack Black. And I don't want to hear Jack Black. I want to hear Jack Black giving a good performance. It's not Jack Black. Much like Chris Pratt is just... I'm going to hear his voice the whole movie.
Fair enough. Not the Mario podcast.
But I can't remember what movies they said this person had listed, but it was like, you know, when we think of this thing, we think of that character, Xenomorph. I think of Predator. I don't think of a guy in a mask, whatever.
Right.
Pinhead, I don't think of Doug Bradley. I think of Pinhead, really, because he kind of... he breaks that barrier of an actor. I like when a movie doesn't have a big name actor as the bad guy or whatever, because then you can separate yourself, you know? Yeah. This movie has all no-name actors, as far as I know. I looked up all their IMDb's. Turns out most of them are good working actors. It's just all shit I've never seen.
The only person I think I recognized was the boyfriend.
From what?
I don't know. Something.
You ever watch 13 Reasons Why?
No. In fact, I think he actually just looks a lot like the husband from Handmaid's Tale, so never mind. I don't know any of these people.
I mean, yeah, but that's what it feels like. It feels like a low-budget thing where, you know what? I never got it. Maybe you can explain it to me. All horror movies, since they never would have any big-name actors, maybe they have, like, Lance Henriksen in the movie, right? You know, like, one person. And they would always list on the box art and in the trailers all the names of the people that are in the movie, like as if anybody knows any of them, right? And then maybe that's just like, hey, you're going to get
probably
your
their
name.
Contract, like, you know.
But the one thing that
Yeah, where are you getting at with this?
I don't know. Okay. I've already lost my train of thought. Right. But the idea that I didn't know any of the actors I usually like, but the problem is it felt too cheap. Because it felt like a bunch of... These people aren't... Like, I was surprised by their IMDb's, meaning that they each had, like, between 60 and 30 acting roles. I was like, okay, so these aren't, like... This is my third role. Like, most of them actually have been working and probably just surviving.
I felt that a little bit about the other recovering addict. He struck me a little bit as somebody that was, like, belonged in a horror film. Like, and I don't mean that in a good way.
He reminds me 100% of... I might have to think about it for a while, but yeah, he looks like another actor with a shaved head. He was the guy in Dexter. The guy who plays a complete dumb jerk-off kind of guy in Dexter. He's one of the cops who's like kind of takes money on the side, did drugs, fucks prostitutes. He reminds me of him 100%. Yeah. Weirdly enough, that character actually has an arc in a way that I actually, after the first 10 minutes, turns out the ex-addict boyfriend is pretty cool. And then later on.
I just think, like, at least in the beginning, he came off as somebody that, like, nobody actually acts like this.
Right. But then I think
it changed over time.
Okay, that's what I was saying. I thought he was going to be the annoying douche bro, whatever, and it turns out he's actually like the voice of reason.
No. And then actually I had to kind of remind myself that he said, I love you in the middle of that sex.
I love you.
What?
Like, you know what I mean? Like, he actually has, like, you know, well, then, whatever, later it's bad. Let's talk about the main actress for a second. I don't know who she is, where she came from.
I thought she was
great.
Amazing. I don't think she's an amazing actress. I think she nailed this role.
Perfectly casted. Yeah, yes. Just like... better, I would say, I love the Evil Dead remake. I didn't like it the first time.
I like it.
I've seen it a couple times since then. I don't know if this is even a fair comparison, but she, ex-addict, main character in a horror film, way better than in the other one.
That was one of my notes about the whole Hellraiser ethos.
Yeah.
About like,
Oh, I'm gonna say something.
don't forget about how you make the choice, and usually it's someone searching for something, and an attic would be a good version of that.
Yes.
Is that?
I'm gonna tell you why.
But I was so happy that the main character is actually a complete piece of shit.
Yeah.
She is a total piece of garbage.
And I think your brother felt very genuine too in like his frustration, but I love you. And you know, when he said because when you leave, I have no idea what you're going to do tonight.
Right.
And I hate that bothers me, you know,
but I think, like I say, why I liked it so much, why it's different is because every one of these movies has recovering problems in the past, and I'm trying to do better. And she says that, but really she's not.
Also, I never believe it. A lot of the times, like, I feel like the actor or the actress is just like, this person is just not a good enough of an actor to make me believe
or miscast.
that they have that, like, you know. Anywho, so here's what I was gonna say. So here's what I was thinking about in the shower this morning when I was thinking about Hellraiser.
I hope it's about Hellraiser.
Yeah, right. I shouldn't. I didn't think about that.
You didn't need to tell me you were.
Right. Hey, it's a sexy movie. So here's the thing. So a Cenobite, right? So Pinhead says, we'll get to that line later because I don't want to spoil it now. But like the whole deal is pain and pleasure, right? It's the whole thing, right?
Well,
and everybody's familiar with this concept.
The idea,
if you sit here and you pinch your arm or whatever, like, you know, and then you do something nice, like the idea is that like the pleasure, the BDSM thing, is that the pleasure is accentuated by contrasting it with the pain.
I think that's actually in the Wikipedia about Hellraiser, was that it like started with the idea that people who were BDSM
and
or like sadomasochists,
leather bars and all
that they're taking the pain, they like it,
right?
So the idea of seeking further isn't a bad thing. Whereas the bad guy in this movie, he's seeking it and realizes he doesn't want it.
It's a different thing.
That's which is what almost always happens.
So here's what I'm saying about the addict, where I think it was a really smart choice to have that be the main character. She has lots of pain, right? She's caused pain that she feels herself.
Very emotional pains.
Pain nonetheless.
Yeah.
And the pleasure, it doesn't make the pleasure better. Like, if I'm going to take this pill to just turn it all off, it has nothing to do, it's almost just to be numb. It's not, to me, it's in stark contrast.
It's literally what a drug addict goes through.
It's what I'm saying. Like, if here's a Cenobite that's saying to you, philosophically, no, pain and pleasure are just two sides of the same coin. And the addict's like, I wish that was true, because actually also when I'm supposed to be having pleasure, this still sucks.
Yeah.
This is still just me trying to feel less pain.
It's kind of what we were having the conversation about vaping earlier and weed and stuff like that, is that like you get to a point where like I'm kind of not enjoying this the way I did in the beginning.
Right.
But I still need to do it to fall asleep or to feel comfortable on the couch. But for me, it's like I have to, the ramp up sucks. But then when you pass the ramp up, then it feels good afterwards, right?
I mean,
it still has it.
The threshold doesn't even seem to be like, oh, what's the new drug? The threshold is just like, I just don't want to exist anymore.
Well, so what you're talking about, like, no, real addicts, it's like they don't do the drugs for pleasure anymore.
Exactly.
They just do it because they're addicted.
Yeah.
They have withdrawals if they don't.
Right.
So it doesn't get them high. It just stops the withdrawals from kicking in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's normal.
I just thought that was kind of an interesting, for me, that was my contrast.
I mean, the fact that she, you know, I said she's the most addict I've ever seen was, I'm going to pour my pills out and 5 minutes later go, no, I actually want them. And then I will take them out the dirty shit ground and take them anyways.
I loved it when she decided like, oh, you know, it would be perfect for me to be high right now. I'm going to go in this playground.
And then go on a carousel.
Dude, and to me, it reminded me kind of just like the spinning of the shit in the original movie, like where their skin is metal and stuff. And it was making the same kind of metal on metal sounds.
I didn't notice that. Because you do see that.
That might have just been me, but
you do see that in the old person's home.
That's true.
She sees the spinning.
Yeah,
it's not the same board, but it's very similar.
But it gave me that same vibe. I was looking at the playground. I'm like, this could just as easily be like a torture thing.
Actually, I written a note, and it's much later in the movie that I came up to this note. But what we were talking about with the like me stabbing you and you getting stuck there, that did happen in 3. Remember the statue where the guy would come to have sex with it, and she got too close to it and it picked her up.
Yeah.
And he's like, feed me more.
Yeah, that's true.
And like she didn't agree to that. So
yeah, but again, man, we were really like getting to Hellraiser 3 for like the canonization of the. But those movies inform this movie. Like we have our crazy. What do you want to call them?
Okay,
like
wait. Speaking of, I'm sure you're kind of going with this. The Cenobites. what do you think about the designs of the Cenobites?
Yeah, so I was going to talk about that after we talked about the box. I thought they were really cool. I thought that you weren't into it. I thought that they couldn't just do. Listen, they couldn't just do BDSM again. If they just did that, it would be too. Some people I think might maybe think it's cheesy.
So they did, but instead of like leather and latex outfits, they used their skin.
Yeah,
as the
everything
outfit.
looked like a autopsy patient. You know,
but
like
the idea of you
frogs being pinned down to
go to the end of the movie, and not specifically, but the idea that it healed the skin, but that becomes the clothing.
Yeah.
So it.
But there was still some really fucking rad shit. I love the guy that was just a face that had nothing behind it.
I guess my disappointment in it is that they were constantly in the dark. They weren't really seen, and then when you did see them, there wasn't like the. I mean, yeah, they look.
I think that's smart. You don't want to like see too much.
But I think in 1987, you had the guys like that. It doesn't look that great, but it's fun. We have the technology and the skills now to do something really dramatic, and a lot of it was just like keep it far away, don't let you see it.
I think that's in service of the atmosphere, and I think that it was very effective.
I think the only
I also think that later on in the movie, when you have these creatures not existing in their atmospheric like dungeons and Leviathan mazes and stuff like that, you have to be really careful because then they'll look really out of place, like standing in the street or in the middle of a front yard, or
like the first Thor movie. It was guys just looked like they were wearing cosplay costumes, and Thor got better. I mean,
sorry, I don't want to
I don't want to get into Marvel movies.
I couldn't remember the Cenobites in Thor. So
I remember the first Thor movie being like everyone looks silly in these costumes in the real world setting, but if they were in Asgard, it looks fine.
Yeah, right.
No, I think the teeth chattering one, which obviously makes a comeback, that. The idea of pain and like being ripped apart, it just seems so. We've seen so many horror movies, and we saw a person go, big deal. But the idea of like hostile, like I'm gonna slowly peel your skin off, it's more effective. The only time I saw anything that felt anywhere near like that looked painful or looked fucked up was when the teeth chattering kind of came into view, and you could see there were like marks where like the skin had been torn off here, but not here. It was stitched, and then this was ripped open, but. Most of it just felt like Silent Hill characters.
Yeah.
It just felt like an amalgamation of random shit.
I mean, it's tough, because so many things have been inspired by Hellraiser now at this point.
God, the throat thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was things where I'm like, okay, you're doing it to me in a way that I'm getting it.
Yeah.
But I felt like the Cenobites, they're not making me feel it.
I'll say, I mean, it's hard for me to say because I watch a lot of horror movies.
That's what I mean. We've seen
it's
this.
very difficult for me to get grossed out a lot of the times, and so no, but it's hard for me to like judge the movie that way because maybe like a lot of normal people will watch this. I gotta remember, like Eduard, like my employee, he's gonna watch it. I'm just trying to decide if his girlfriend is somebody that should watch it with him or not. Well, I don't know, because I'm like. For me, I'm like, this feels like a popcorn movie, like a horror popcorn movie. But like still a movie theater movie nonetheless.
I think about that, like who goes to see theater movies and who the jump scares and like what it has.
But
become.
I'm like, but is all the violence is the gore in this like too much for normal people? I guess so. I have no idea. But for me, I agree. It didn't like, but none of these movies.
I don't. But here's the thing: I don't care for like things like Hostel. I don't need to see. I'm not here for torture porn.
No, me neither.
But. The design of the person who has been tortured previously.
Yeah.
I want to go. My brain's going to fill in the blanks, and I don't feel that from the Cenobites. I'm going to look and it's like, they just look like, things are just ripped open, or whatever. But only one of them was like, I see that they did something to him there. That must have sucked when they did that, But most of it just feels generic.
There was one guy I wanted to get a better look at, to your credit. And he had just like these black eyes and almost like a mask.
See, that was one of the ones I was going, this feels like a generic monster design and not someone who's been...
But and
cool. Also, because at one point, her hand splits into two.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
And I'm like, this just feels like a monster movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a torture...
There are monsters, though.
Right, but the whole thing scares the shit out of me is like, imagine being tortured like this for eternity. Even for 2 days, I couldn't even handle it, right?
Yeah.
That scares me. Also, because I have chronic pain now, the idea of being disabled and having some kind of condition where you're in pain, you just like, I just want to die.
Yeah.
It scares me because I'm realistically scared of that being something that happens to me. And when I was going through my pain originally, I didn't want to die, but I was like, if this is my life, I can't live like this. I literally can't live like this. So, that scares me.
Let's move on, because we're, time.
Yeah, we're talking about generics of the movie and stuff. But anyways, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll keep going then.
If you have something to say, say it.
No, just like with Predator, I just kind of said these are the things I like. So I loved all of the changing stuff. set changing stuff. I loved it in the original movie. I remember I went to go see. I saw Hellraiser and Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, at in Santa Monica as a double feature a few weekends ago. And the guy I saw it with, I was a little disappointed for him to say like, "Well, it's of its time," and I'm like, "Fuck you."
Who?
I'm not telling you.
Who?
What do you mean who?
Who'd you see it with?
My friend. I don't want to call out on camera.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I just want to know if it's someone I know.
I don't think you've ever met him.
Okay, then I don't care. I was just curious if it's like...
He's like a comic creator and stuff, so I don't want to blow up spot.
Yeah, no. You're right. I didn't realize we're on camera and we're talking about it, but I just want to know if it was like the guy you do videos with.
No. But I really... One of the things I love about the original Hellraiser was that stuff. I loved that they did something where they like put like a bunch of clear... Like what would have been the... What do you call that? The grout in between bricks in the brick rooms. Mortar. Yeah. And then they did something to make it clear, so then they could shine a light behind it, made it like illuminate. I love that shit.
They built like a doorway, right?
Yeah,
it's very
like
Beetlejuice.
Like things that like opening up and these hallways coming down. I mean, that's all from the original. I
think
I was really impressed with the way they did it in this movie.
Yes, I think that was the best part.
I thought the pinnacle was the van scene. I thought that was such a neat way of showing like how does that work? How can somebody be being torn apart?
Right.
If they're in a just run away from them. That's what, like, just get away. I love that those little holes were opening up in the roads.
That was going to be a thing I want to talk about. Is like, if they were to drive into that, would all of them...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's why I said they just gave me a taste. It was believable, but, enough to make me feel like, yeah, they do come from some other dimension.
Well, I read it as one said it was like they have like their own corner of hell.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't get into like a philosophical debate about heavens and hell, but like, there's people who think like, in hell, there's factions and like it could be like the Leviathan is their god,
right.
In hell, or their leader or whatever, So I don't know.
He could be like Belial, or like a minor whatever. It doesn't matter.
Like, does he serve under Satan, or is he like contesting against Satan? Does Satan not like? I don't know.
I don't like it when they tie it to the. They did that in the last movie, in 10. They tied it to. No, they tied it. There's an angel at the end of the movie.
I don't remember much of that. I know I liked it, but I don't remember much about it. I like that there's the auditor.
Since I've mentioned that, I'm going to say that the horror, the proper horror shit in the last one that they made was weirder in a way that I appreciated. That I wish this movie had got even weirder.
Yeah, I like that. I like the last one.
But anyway, I just want to say I thought that they did a very good job with that.
Didn't he have a vial of children's tears?
Yeah, yeah, and then he pours it on the paper and he eats the paper.
Yeah, it's fucking.
That's John Gallagher.
I know.
Yeah. All right, I don't know. That's it. I liked. I liked the mythology stuff. I loved the idea that the configuration does these different things, and that you could. That's directly tied to what Wish. Again, it's just rules.
Yeah.
So they really just like. They're bad genies. They're dark genies. That's it. That's the movie now.
That's actually
what we're doing.
The ending kind of explains.
Right.
He says that. But actually, my next note was about that. Was that I remember it being more about the person seeking the cube or whatever doesn't know how to solve it, but something like because if it like feeds off you. So if you have the desire to go, ooh, I'm interested in this, it kind of like compels you to open it.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Where this one, they just felt like she's messing with it. I'm like, I missed that thing where
kind of like we were just sort of sensually.
You would get into a trance, and you don't actually have to solve it like a puzzle. Right. It was more like once you make this decision that you want to fiddle with this thing, it opens for you. And this one, it felt more like I had to solve the puzzle. I don't know how to solve it, and that didn't feel legit. The thing I want to go back to about the actors. I watched an interview. It was like split up between each one of actors. It's funny. Every single person in this movie, other than the female, the older lady, they're all like, "Yeah, I watched Hellraiser when I was way too young." So it's always had an impact on me. And then the guy who played Voight was like, I'm older than everybody else here. So he's like, by the time I was doing like rental stores, he's like, I saw number 4. Mm-hmm. And number 4 is my favorite because he's like, I like the French architecture, I like the space station, I like the past. So I was like, okay, so he knows what he's talking about. He's not just like, because you think, oh, so what's Hellraiser mean to you? And every like mid-actor would be like, oh, I watched the series, and you're kind of like, I don't really believe that you like have any connection to it. You just got hired as an actor. But everyone was like, I was 9 years old when I saw it. It left a mark on me. It scared the crap out of me. I saw it with my older brother, that kind of thing. And I thought that actually helps as an actor because they actually did have a background before they were hired.
Yeah.
Not, I'm going to be the new Hellraiser movie. I've heard of it. I might have seen something of it when I was
Right.
younger. Now I'm going to go watch a couple of them, right?
Right.
All of them were like, yeah, I saw it as a kid.
Yeah, that's
and it
cool.
was way too
You're right,
young.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Because if it's somebody that just does research for the role, they're not going to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the actor that plays Voight, saying the fourth one's his favorite, I thought it was cool. The screenwriters, I know them from... Because I've listened to interviews with them. Everybody's always, what the fuck are you guys gonna do with the friend? Are you gonna do a good job? Like, what are you doing?
I think I say I hope I do a good job.
But they are clearly fans because like think of things like this. So the fourth film introduced the concept. I think it was the fourth one. Actually, it's the end of the third one, going into the fourth one. That the idea that architecture is theoretically important to Hellraiser. And
I don't want to rehash the other movies, but 3 had the thing with the
so the
mirror.
third one where she buries the lament configuration in like the concrete or something like that.
Oh,
and then the teaser staying is that like, look, they've built this building on top of it and it looks like a lament configuration.
You're right, yeah.
And then the fourth one that plays into it. So that, not that specifically, but in this movie, obviously you had the skylight, you had the thing surrounding the mansion, like you had a lot of that kind of stuff.
And I'm glad they
that was
actually
cool.
just straight up say it.
Yeah.
This house was designed with
Right.
the metal up to block. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, good. I don't know why, but
But fine. You know, now we have rules. Like that's it's like
Again, I'll take the rules. You just need to give me
Yeah.
some of them. This didn't go. I thought this might have been a problem that would keep going on, but it only happened once. Was the subtitles didn't match. So the very beginning of the movie, when he sacrifices this Joey kid to get what he wants, he says, "I'm a penitent of the Leviathan," but the subtitle says "the Great Leviathan."
Oh, interesting.
And I don't know why that struck a chord with me. That like he didn't say that word, but it was written.
Yeah.
So there. When you say something like the great something, that's more cult. That's
Right.
more.
It also
sorry, not cult.
it shows
cult.
you're also prostrating yourself. You know, like
Yeah, you're better than me.
like
I wanna-
Your Majesty.
Yeah.
You know?
So I thought that was weird, but that didn't go anywhere. Obviously, if anyone follows me on Twitter or us, or Alpha Rookie on Twitter, which is really just me.
It's just you.
The title card of Hellraiser.
It's really just him. If you don't like anything that's on Alpha,
it's
his
all
fault.
me. The title card is basically the Law and Order title card. It's exactly. It's kind of funny that I saw that, and at first I thought, is that Seinfeld? Is that I sent it to you. I said I thought it was Frasier, and I had to look up and I go, oh wait, no. My brain was like, it's not Frasier, it's Law and Order.
I feel like also the glowing red was kind of them being like, Stranger Things is so hot, do that. Like,
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, you're right though. I thought it was a disservice. Because it looked like Law and Order. It looks silly. So
the score seemed like it was still riffing on the original.
They had the original,
and the original
music in
score
there.
is amazing. So
Yeah.
that was good. That made me happy.
Sorry, I'm just reading.
Just
my
trying
notes.
to think more of like generic things.
Multiple times throughout the movie, you hear it. At least twice. I remember going, I hear something that I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So this is where I'm like, please let me. Well, there's two things with this character. Please let me write this for you. Let me help. I've always said I'm a great editor, not just video editor. But like I can take something and I can improve on it. I can't write from scratch. I can't create very well. I'm not great at. But if you give me something and I can modify that, I can usually find the gold in it. I was hoping for, and the movie did this in the other way than I was expecting, which is also kind of generic. I was hoping that the boyfriend was a double cross. I was hoping that when he asks her to go break into this abandoned place, right, and we're gonna go make some money because you're an ex-addict and you're not doing well and we need to score, right? And she's like, I agree. And he goes like, are you sure you want to do this? Here's your out. I was hoping that would come up again as going, and it did come up, but
like,
it not
you had
quite
the chance to.
Well, not just you had a chance to get out of here, just like the
You still invited this.
the brother's boyfriend. He's like, I told you not to leave.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like that saying it's your fault. It wasn't so much that, but I wanted the whole thing with back to what we said about you have to choose to seek out the lament configuration. By her doing that and like making that conscious choice to do this is what sealed her fate. And it wasn't, but I wanted it to kind of like play in a little bit more. What's funny though is the boyfriend does end up being a double crosser,
yeah.
And which kind of I was like, okay, it doesn't surprise me, but I also wasn't like, I called it in a different way.
See, to me that was like typical Hollywood horror trope.
Yeah.
You know, like not in a way that made me like groan or anything like that, but like that's the kind of stuff to me, like I said, separates it more from like Night House or Ritual. Like,
absolutely.
These are beats. These are beats, you know.
And it was like, where's the story going to go if you don't have that?
Right.
But I thought it would be really interesting because, again, it would have tied into a lot more of the actual Hellraiser lore of... I not just gave you a way to say no. You actively chose to want to pursue this, which is what made it available to you.
Right.
It was what made you feel something in here, like why I wanted to play with it. It's because of that. And because that's what they did with Frank. And I feel like the sixth movie, and even the 8th movie was like when the kids want to go to the party and go have sex and drugs. It was like you're making a conscious choice to like push some boundaries, which is why it led to this. Mm-hmm. Here it was more just like a money scheme, mm-hmm. which isn't quite the same. Yeah. Why? I mean, I'm not a drug addict. I've never been there, and I've been angry, and I've punched holes in walls, and I've done that stuff before. Why would you kick the mirror off your own car?
Oh, that's rung true to me. She seemed like
I would have written that scene as she's like punching the car seat, and like on the 4th punch, it breaks the car seat, and then she goes, fuck, I didn't mean to break it,
I would say that that's true that I'm not an addict and I cannot.
But
Didn't you see Rumble in Cell Block 99?
Yeah.
Okay.
He beats the shit out of his own car.
Because he was mad.
But that's Vince Vaughn. He can do that. Like, I've hit things and done too much damage by accident.
Yeah.
I've never punched the outside of my own car because I know it's going to do damage. I would never... No, my car that's been destroyed by a drunk driver. I punched the headliner. I punched the seat next to me, and if I was to break something doing that, I would have done one of those things where like, oh, I fucking deserve that.
Yeah, but you're logical. Like, even though you get mad and you hit things or throw things, there's still some piece of you that's still
So I'm okay with her hitting something and breaking it by accident, but she targeted the side mirror, the easiest thing to break on a car. She just kicks it off. And then
I think it just shows self-destruction. I mean,
but I would like to have seen the regret afterwards of going...
I think there was regret. She was like, this is the one thing I have left, and I just fucking, like, damaged it even more.
I would like to have seen that. Again, it takes 10 seconds to add to the movie.
I felt like it came through in her performance, but that's okay.
Like, she can hate herself more because she's like, why the fuck did I do that to myself, right? But that wasn't there.
All right, fair
See,
enough.
again, I can edit. I'm a good editor. I can, like, it's right here.
That's what I've always said.
Yeah.
Are we in the nitpick portions? Or these are just notes as you went along?
They start off nitpicks. It always starts with, my notes are always nitpicks in the beginning, and then a lot of no notes in the middle because I'm just watching the movie and I'm into it, and maybe like, things I like and like things that are interesting. So the nitpicks tend to fall away because I don't know what it is. Movies get better at the end. Everyone has a hard time starting their movie, and that's when you watch a master filmmaker who's like The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I have not watched the whole movie. Actually, it's not a whole movie. It's an anthology, and the first section is so good that I don't want to watch the rest of the movie.
Huh. It appears that the vitals of this lucky son of a gun remain unpunctured. Sloppy shooting on my part.
It's so well done, and I'm like, Coen Brothers, when you're a master at your craft, there are no nitpicks in the beginning because you know how to set a scene.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really weird that she solved the box. The blade didn't get her, but they still came out, and it literally says she now has to substitute somebody else. Mm-hmm. What if she doesn't?
They take her.
But she
wasn't stabbed. I see what you're saying.
Because why wouldn't they just take her then? Was it a scare tactic? Like, we can't really take you, but maybe we can scare you into it? Like, that didn't, in the lore, it didn't fit with anything that... Pinky up. It didn't make any sense. And it's because it's a main tenet of the whole movie, it's kind of a, don't fuck that up.
I don't have anything here to talk about because at that point I didn't know that it was a main tenet of the movie because we were still early on.
But you get it, right? Like, they say you can choose to substitute, but Kirsty, I think in the original, she tried to make the deal of like, let me substitute it, and they were like, fine, go do it, right? In this one, they told her to, and then she didn't get to choose somebody. It just took her brother. Oh no, actually that was a dream.
Yeah, it is a dream.
And then
he wakes up in bed, and then.
But again, he accidentally picks it. Like there was a conversation later.
I think this. Oh, go ahead. But I think I have an answer.
Well, there's a conversation later with Serena, the older lady who used to do Voight's like dirty work and cleaning up of money and whatever. She's like, he touched the box, right? And they're like, yeah. And I took the interpretation of that was supposed to be, he's the one who opened it, and now you're here trying to figure out what the fuck happened, when it's like, no, he didn't open it. He just accidentally picked it up and stabbed himself. He had nothing to do with it.
So I think this is my answer. I think that if you solve whatever, I want to keep saying lament configuration, but now this whole movie's blown my mind. It's
Right.
like it's only a lament configuration when it's a perfect square.
It's also a easy word to get flubbed with.
Yeah.
So like I say, the box or the cube.
The box. When you solve the box, to me that's like a phone call. You're putting a call out.
Okay.
But the person on the other end of the line can't hurt you
Right.
until they get your blood. Then
Yeah.
you've invited them into your home. They can do whatever they want.
But again, this is almost like, to go with that analogy, say, it's like the vampire thing. Like, the vampire can't come into your house
Right.
unless you invite them.
Right.
But if someone else invites them, but they don't live in your home, they don't have a right to invite them.
Yeah, that's not what I mean. No, I just mean like I think according to the rules, no, I don't think they can do anything to fuck with her. But they can fuck with you. Like she's seeing shit. They're
Right.
invading their dreams. You know, like.
Well, and then what? He had the dream. He's the one who technically had the dream
Yeah.
of the chains coming out of her and getting.
I feel like the Cenobites can probably come down and fuck with anybody, but why would? But the person they're attracted to is the person that's obviously calling them on the phone.
Do you think this? I mean, as if this is a real thing, but like, do you think the Cenobites? Maybe because I know that their thing is. I mean, I guess they just like torturing people,
Well, yeah.
and so they get off on it. I mean, whatever you want to say, they get off on it or enjoy it. But is it because they get someone who thought they wanted this, and then they flip it on them? Like I said, it's a genie. It's a reverse genie kind of thing. That they actually get more off on the fact that someone came to their door and knocked on it, and then you just totally took them in and just fucked with them, versus someone who's an innocent bystander. Well, I don't get enjoyment out of just torturing anybody.
I think
I want
they're-
someone that wanted this.
I think that they're monsters, but I also think that they have agency and personality, and I think there's things that intrigue them.
Yeah.
And I think that there are things that interest them, you know, and like we've shown obviously that like they get bored, like, oh, quit crying. That's a
What I mean, like it's like being a gang member, right? Assaulting a random person versus I'm going to kill another gang member from another gang. Yeah. Which one's better? Well, I don't really care about hurting the innocent person. I really want to hurt that guy though,
right? Because
he's part of this. I feel like the Cenobites like to fuck people over who think they're getting something good.
Yeah,
and that's part of it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
I mean, they're the dark genies,
right? So hurting an innocent person to them is just like, well, they
but it's all still part of the game because somebody needs to be sacrificed. That they have to have. They have to have a blood sacrifice.
We're already on that point. We'll just skip kind of forward to one point. Whoa! You can stab a Cenobite with the box?
Yeah,
and that counts.
I thought that was cool. I like things like this that kind of throw. If once you put rules. Here's the fun part about movies and stories and
rules all
video games. No, I know, but like I love. That's why I'm not as into fantasy stuff. Even though this is a fantasy thing where anything can fucking happen. But my point is, it's just like a wizard did it. It's not fun. Okay?
Yeah, I don't like fantasy.
And I'm not saying like everything has to be straight science fiction.
Lights are bright.
Like a whatever. But what I want you to do is to establish some kind of rules or ground rules or just parameters. So then your job is to surprise me.
Yeah.
Even though, well, I'm like, well, we showed you the rules. Why wouldn't I? Well, I just didn't fucking think about that because they're a bad guy. Like, you shouldn't be able to do that.
It's a lot of it feels like always the monkey paw of like, you wished for this, we gave you what you wanted. It's not the way that you thought,
right?
But
I thought it was neat. I love that he was just like, touche.
Yeah.
like he backed up and like, all right, let's do it.
I just kind of go like, okay, so how this works is like they're in hell and they have a thing and then you sacrifice, but they're already. Can you kill a thing that's already dead? That's where.
But then at some point it's Lovecraftian, and I think he.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, don't over-explain it, because I'm like, I don't...
But if you're going to do it...
What are you? Explorers. It's a vague...
But if you're going to do that where you stab one and they count, there's got to be something in
the next movie now you have somebody that's turned it into a fucking weapon, or like knows how to like...
or like, I'm going to go after you guys, versus you coming after me, I'm not going to stalk you.
Right.
If you can do that, I'm interested in it.
Maybe it'd be cool, I don't know, yeah.
So I thought that was just really, really interesting that worked.
I liked seeing an offensive.
It also worked for a plot point because then it led to the next thing that would happen. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that. I just wish give me a little bit more. You cracked the door open. You said, if that's okay, I'm like, well, what else is okay?
Yeah.
So, and like we were talking about the walls that would open away or the van that would kind of stretch. I thought that stuff was the best part of the movie. The best, and that's where I go, the guy who made the Night House, the guy who made the Ritual. This whole movie should look like that.
Yeah.
Because those were impressively nice. They looked real.
Yeah.
I know they were CG. Maybe there was some practical mixed CG, but it looked like real.
No,
and I was so happy with that.
Couldn't agree more.
This is not a nitpick. This is very much inspired by It, inspired by random horror movies. So before the brother, I guess he gets sacrificed. He's out of the movie pretty quick, surprisingly. He goes in the bathroom. Like, what public bathroom is open in the middle of the night in New York, I'm guessing? Or
all the time. Don't you remember that's what I would do when we go do our stupid urban exploration things?
That's true. That was a park.
It's not as crazy as you think.
Why was that open at night?
You're just an idiot. I mean, you're not an idiot. You're not an idiot. I'm the idiot.
Like, what school with a playground would have the bathrooms? Well, whatever, but it was like dirty and gross.
I was in
Paso,
and there's a park in the middle of the town, and there's a children's playground, and there's also a restroom there that's just open
at night.
Yep.
Okay. So it does that thing where he's moving, but the reflection in the mirror is not. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with Hellraiser. He sees blood bubbling up through the sink.
Disagree with you.
Okay, and I'm if you want to, I'm happy because I want you to then.
Because when the Cenobites first pop in the original movie, here's some of the weird stuff you see. She's in the hospital room.
I'll say Hellraiser 2 is fucking weird, and it has a lot of things that
I'm talking about Hellraiser 1.
Okay.
I'm talking about Hellraiser 1 because you're thinking of her being in the psychiatric place or whatever, but she is in a hospital for a part of the first movie.
Yeah, because there's a hallway that opens up and it has like the weird worm baby thing or whatever it is.
But before that all happens, one of the first things they do is that the TV shows flowers blooming and a butterfly, and then what do you call the thing? The IV bag, whatever that thing is, right?
You just said it.
Is it an IV bag?
It's an IV bag.
Blood starts clouding up into it. And those are both things that happen before they make themselves seen.
You get like the lights are flickering and it gets darker
I'm just
outside.
Saying, well, I just showed you two things. I'm just saying that I think it's totally fair game to just do creepy shit.
Was she seeing that, or was the audience seeing that?
I don't know.
In Hellraiser 1, was she looking at it, or was it just informing us?
That's hard to say.
Gotcha, bitch.
I guess.
Because in this one, it was specifically for the character to see it.
Yeah.
And that he was like getting weirded out by it. And I'm like, that's not really what Hellraiser has done. And this is a very modern horror trope that I don't like because everyone does the same shit. You know.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, hell, the It miniseries did that back in 1990, and then of course the It, whatever the newer one was, is just like blood in the sink is so scary, and it's like, well, no, but it's been done. It's just that it wasn't overdone. Now everybody does that shit. So that was a studio movie. It's not a studio, obviously.
It was a beat.
It was a very modern horror movie.
I agree.
Which is kind of like me. All right, so let's get to the butt scene in the shower. So when they cut to her boyfriend Trevor, okay, the main character's name is Riley. We've like barely ever seen his names. Riley is her name. Trevor's the boyfriend. They're both addicts, or they're both in a 12-step program. And her brothers, she's living with her brother in his apartment. He's paying for it mainly, and he's like,
he has a boyfriend and a roommate.
Yeah, and the history of Hellraiser, Clive Barker's gay. There's a lot of queer community stuff and Hellraiser history. So it's like it might feel like wokeness because every movie's got to have a gay character with something in it. But
right.
And I go, but I don't care. I just don't like when it feels out of place. And in this one, you're like, oh no, it actually has some history. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I don't care. It's just that we have to see like dudes in a bed together, and it's not that I don't want to. Oh, they're gay. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to watch the sex scene between the boy or the main character and her boyfriend. I don't want to see any nasty shit, hetero or homo. I'm not interested in seeing your butt. I'm not interested in seeing you have sex in a movie. It's just not necessary unless it's going to move a plot forward. It feels
I'm getting pervier as I get older, so I say, you're a horror movie. Show me that shit. I want to see it.
See, I don't want to see tits in a movie anymore because it only feels it's there.
We were watching Idle Hands. Jesse and I. Did you ever see that movie in the 90s?
Yeah.
It's fun. It's like the most 90s movie ever made.
Yeah.
And then like it's not until like way later in the movie, and then they're like in the car and they're fucking around, and then her shirt comes up, and it's just solely just for that shot. And I had been drinking. We were watching the movie. And I'm just like, titties. I was like, this. Yeah.
See, I think about like American Pie. It'll make a lot of sense because it's really the focus of it, and they're young, and it's even an American Reunion. It's like the girls getting naked in the car. And he's like, oh, I don't know what to do with this, right? It just feels like
I think it's just going back to like again, like you have to have some sensual. It may not have worked, but I think you do need to have some sensual
Like, my wife watches...
Sensuality? Is that a word?
I don't need it. Sensuality, yes.
You need it.
Not
I'm just saying that that's why they're doing it.
It's not. It's gross.
Because it's putting you in the mindset of like, oh, pleasure, sensations.
But you don't need to like... I don't even know, is this the right speed?
How's this speed?
Like, that's... My wife watches a lot of, Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, and she watches a lot of shit that's...
She watching House of the Dragon?
Yeah.
Not you, though.
Oh, I don't give a shit about that. And every time there's a sex scene, not Oz.
They got niece uncle fucking in that movie.
What?
They got niece uncle fucking in that show. Niece uncle.
No, niece uncle.
Yeah.
I think you said knee,
uncle
and I was
niece.
like, the knee pit? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I said, hey, dude, if I was making House of the Dragon, I need to see some penetration. Dragons. I want to see dragons fuck, and I want to see a dragon dick.
Not over yet.
I know. Or I want to see a person fuck a dragon, or a dragon fuck a person. I say, you really want to show audiences and really put your name out there? I want to see a dragon fuck, and not like, oh, they go behind. Like, no, show it, go in there and go, oh my god. I don't, No, I just think The Wire. That's the one. Sex scenes comes on, and she's like, I don't need to see this. Yeah. So it's not just me. It's like it doesn't push the story forward anyway. Now you're right, but it can be done in a classy way. Yeah. I don't need to see, okay, if you're on top of her and the sheet's on top of you, I don't need to see that your lower half is going like this. I don't need that. It doesn't help in any way. It's awkward. It's like when you used to ride the dinosaur ride at Knott's Berry Farm and you hear people making out behind you, and you're like, ugh. I don't hear, oh my god, fucking stop. It's gross. I don't mind PDA, but I don't need, again, if it's not, I Spit on Their Grave, what is that? What's the name? What's the name?
I Spit on Your Grave?
That's the name of the movie, right?
Yeah, I just don't know where you're going.
Total, rape first, and then she gets a revenge, right?
Yes, it's a rape revenge movie.
I can see where nudity and something like that would be... It's shocking. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be. Maybe she's tattered because they tore her clothes and she's wandering on the highway naked or with boob hanging out. It's not gratuitous for fun. It's gratuitous as like, ooh, you really want to this is rough.
No, but I didn't say it was being gratuitous. I said it was being trying to be sensual. Now, for you, it didn't work, but I think that's the reason why they were doing it.
Right, but again, so anyways, we cut to her boyfriend in the shower, and the shower scene is like, I see butt.
Yeah.
And I go, well, I'm not scared of a man's butt. I don't care. But I'm scared
of a man's butt.
I know you are.
I'm scared.
But
I don't know what's in there.
It doesn't serve any purpose. I know he's in the shower. You can shoot it like this, and I know he's in the shower. So, okay, you do this, right? And you go, am I being overly critical? The other half of the coin there is every shot a director chooses, they choose whether or not to put the butt in. It wasn't by accident. They choose to put the sex scene in. Yeah. It's not an accident. And I go, if you're choosing to do it, does it add anything to the movie? Does it have any basis on a plot? Is it necessary? And if it's not, don't put it in. And that's with anything. As an editor, a good editor would tell you, you need to cut this movie down. You have fluff. This is not necessary. I don't need nudity if it doesn't serve a purpose, especially if it's male nudity. Mm-hmm. Now, Eastern Promises. Viggo Mortensen's dick is going to be flopping around in that knife fight. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it tells you something. Mm-hmm. He's naked and he's fighting people with a knife, and he's fucking doing it, right? It serves a purpose. Yeah. Her big bush in Eastern Promise, Valley of History of Violence. He's in another movie, History of Violence. Yeah. When he takes her and has sex with her on the stairs and the big bush, I didn't need to see the big bush. It didn't serve any purpose other than she doesn't shave or wax. Rape scene in Irreversible, as uncomfortable as it is, it serves the purpose. And oh my god, everyone hates that part of the movie, and I understand why. That's why they did it. So anyways, I don't need to see two gay guys in bed.
All right, fair enough. That was 10 minutes on the... Okay.
I don't need to see hetero people having sex in a bed.
Fair enough.
And I'm just trying to explain it that it's not because I'm weird against anything, is that it doesn't serve any purpose in a movie. I'm not going titties!
I am.
I'm past that point in my life.
I would never get past it.
Yeah. Okay, so we already said that too. I
mean, the only things I want to talk about now are kind of just scenes that I liked, and then the end of the movie.
Yeah. So. Okay. Serena, the older lady, she says, "I didn't open." So when she accidentally gets stabbed when they go talk to her, she says, "Well, I didn't open the box, so it ain't gonna affect me." And then it does. And I'm going, okay, so she thinks there's some rules here. Mm-hmm. She seems to know enough about this to go, I didn't open it. So just because it stabbed me doesn't mean they're going to take me. And then they do take her, and she's kind of surprised. And I'm going, so why does she think that? Again, rules, not rules, nebulous, not, I mean.
I don't remember what she said, so it's hard for me to.
No, she literally says, I didn't open it, so I'm okay. They're not gonna come for me, and then they do.
She says that after she's been stabbed?
Yeah. Because remember, they were she was trying to get rid of the box. She was like, let me take it away and get rid of this fucking thing so it can't happen. And then they scuffle. And
Yeah,
she
I remember
accidentally
that.
said-
I just don't remember saying that.
So it's just one of those things where I go, again, are there ground rules here, or are we just going to break all rules? Because anyone should know in a horror, especially a horror movie, sci-fi especially, and but fantasy is like magic can do anything, right? You gotta lay ground rules because I need to know, as the characters are doing something, can they do this or can they not, you know? Like I said, hey, time out, Cinnabite. Can we have a conversation about what we're doing here? Oh, okay, so you're going to rip me apart forever. Okay. Hey, what if I get you 2 for the price of 1? That'd be good? Cool. I need to know those ground rules. Yeah. And when the fact that they can negotiate lets me know that, like you said, they have interests, they're unique individuals, they actually have their own torture policies. Like, you know, literally they had not the accountant, the auditor in the last one. Who's the guy who's just shuffling paper going, all right, you got 7 guys today, you need 10 tomorrow. If you don't, I'm going to punish you. Like, where's the administrative part? But,
the bureaucracy of hell.
Yeah. But, yeah, just the idea that, like, there are some rules, but there's not some rules anyways. Okay, so the levels of the lament configuration, she even says, no. Does Serena say it? Yeah, you're only on level... Oh, she sees it, and she's like, oh, you're on the 2nd level.
Yeah.
I
don't remember what number
I guess we
said.
really shouldn't... No, she's like, you're on that's not the base configuration. That's like your 2nd level, you know? Do we really want to get into talking about, like... What does it mean? Okay, do you know? I don't... Okay, so there's 6 levels. Life, knowledge, love, sensation, and resurrection. Resurrection.
You'd actually write it down.
And power.
Yeah.
But that's also... the reason why I didn't really write down the other stuff was that it is... I'll find it. Lore, this isn't the same order. I just wrote these down so they don't correspond to what I just said. Lore, Lazarus, Liminal, Leviathan, and one that I couldn't pronounce. I couldn't, like, read it right. What does that mean?
I don't know. I think it's the same thing as, like, chakras or something, you know? Like, I couldn't tell you what that stuff means either.
Because she sees one that says resurrection.
Right.
She thinks, I could bring my brother back because of this. But if...
No, those are the wishes. Those are yeah, that's what they would grant you. Those are the gifts they would grant you once you're done giving it all the different sacrifices.
But okay, so you have to do all 6 levels.
You got to do all 6.
You got to hit it, and then what you get?
That brings Leviathan, and then you get
a
prize.
Right, you get your prize. You get to pick what you want, which is a double-edged sword. But does it have to be one of those?
Yes.
Okay, so you pick one of those 6.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking, like, does the person who dies on?
No, it's not like I'd like $100. That's not how that works. Like, no, you.
Well, it could because you love money.
Sure.
Like,
point being is, no, it's got to be one of those things.
So I guess the idea that it's levels doesn't really make any sense.
No. I mean, it's levels in the sense that you're getting almost there to level 6, which will grant you the... I still think that's levels.
But, like, it doesn't actually... Like, level 3 is... So it goes in order: life, knowledge, love, sensation, resurrection,
again,
power.
I looked at it just as, like, symbology. Or that's the wrong word, but... just, again, like... somebody could explain to me about chakras, and I wouldn't fucking idea.
Right, but when she finds the... This is tied into, like, Hellraiser 2. She finds the Voight is the rich guy he's been buying these things and has all these weird shit and whatever. He has all this research on it. And in his book, it's like the cube, when it's a lament configuration, and this is why I said the words don't match with, like, Lazarus is resurrection, which, you know, if you know Bible stuff, and that makes sense. The order that I wrote it doesn't read. Leviathan is power. I don't remember which one Liminal is. I don't remember which one. Lament was the first one. Lament was life. Lament is when it's in a cube. Mm-hmm. Leviathan is when it's in the double-sided pyramid thing.
Yeah, it's like a diamond.
So each level does correspond to the way the box is configured, but it doesn't fucking matter?
I think that... Not really, no.
Okay, see, that's... and I'm not saying this is a bad thing. This is more
but
like...
to me, it also doesn't make... To me, it doesn't mean anything. You go to Egypt and you see the... I don't know.
Okay, I mean, not saying that you would know.
It means something to somebody that is a scholar that can sit down and...
I saw that the 5th level was resurrection, and I was thinking
we're talking about like Kabbalah, like things that are like on a religiosity level. I think that's a
religiosity.
Like if I was still in college, it would be like this is the kind of stuff people write term papers about, whatever.
Right.
Like, I don't.
There has to be some kind of connection for like which level the box is in, and when you kill that person.
No, I don't think there's any connection.
And that's fine. It kind of.
Or if there is, they didn't choose to
didn't
explore it.
And that's I bet you there's something there.
Yeah.
And they either didn't spell it out enough,
Or they didn't know how, or they couldn't quite figure it out, or it was too complicated to.
And that's
like,
what I go
you
back
know.
to. If you're going to do something and you're going to write it and you're
Now you
going
gotta
to
have
think
a plot
about it,
and now also have the kills mean, like, you know what I mean?
and if they don't, that's fine. But then don't lead me to think that there is, you know. So
Or somebody that's smarter than us has a video essay may already be like, well, if you look at this person, the way that they were, you know.
that's what I wanted to know, and I was hoping that you
not
would
for
know.
me. No, I don't got anything.
Okay, but I'm sure it must be something.
Unless you get the only one, because the one that the kill that stands out to me the most is funny because it's from a character that who cares is the roommate. Like she's literally there just to be like be a horror fodder.
She barely says anything.
She barely says anything.
Yeah.
However, I found her death to be actually one of the most memorable.
Yep.
Just because the conversations.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really. She says one word, but.
Well, no. She
praying.
She starts praying.
I couldn't hear her prayer. That's why I put the subtitles on because I
I
really
watched the
wanted
whole
to
thing.
understand.
It was our Father out in heaven.
She's just saying her typical Catholic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she's like, "What do you pray?"
Well, let's talk about the
for?
scene then, because I love. This was one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Okay.
Was where she.
Okay, at this point, her brother is gone.
Yeah, but before we do this though, I want to ask you: do you remember what configuration it was in when she's taken?
Okay, so
Because maybe that's a clue.
her brother is gone. 1. Serena is 2.
Yes.
This would be 3.
I'm thinking. Hold on.
Yes, there's at
Yes, because that would be 3, and then
at one point she is with Trevor, Colin, and Nora.
Yeah.
No, she's not she's not the third one.
Well, I just counting them up. So you had a Cenobite. That's 4.
Oh, the Cenobite gets added to it. No, at one point there's 4 characters left. It's Riley, and then she's with Colin, which is the boyfriend, Nora, which is the roommate, and Trevor, which is her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
When I say the boyfriend, it's her brother's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I go, she's done 3. There's been 3 at this point, and there's 3 characters left. And I'm looking at you're going to the audience member going, oh, all of you guys are going to die probably, right?
Right.
But if they were on 3 at that point, and the Cenobite comes afterwards, which is why Trevor doesn't go, it would have to, okay. God, it's the brother.
I didn't think we were
It's
math.
Serena. There has to be somebody else before Nora. I'm going to have to cut all this out because I'm going to sit here and just think for a little bit.
I'm still just trying to count them up all total. I'm going to work from the end of the movie backwards. So
Either way.
Trevor gets.
I don't want to.
chicken wire.
Well, okay, I guess yeah. I didn't want to. I want to cut this out then if we do that, but it doesn't matter.
Trevor got chicken wired
Yeah, instead of Colin.
Forget Colin. I'm just talking about the people that actually got.
Surprisingly, I thought Colin was going to be the most throwaway character, because again, in a lot of movies that are woke or you want to say that is like
Who got stabbed in the back? And it was just
Nora.
like, it was Nora. Okay.
a lot of times when there's like, oh, the gay character, they throw it in, and then that person immediately dies. A lot of times, it's surprising that Colin's the one who lives, and actually, his character starts off kind of annoying, and actually becomes like, oh no, I'm glad he lied. Like he became better at the end. I thought he would get it, and he didn't. So that was kind of cool. So yeah, Trevor,
Cenobite,
Nora,
Serena, Matt, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, her brother.
Yeah, there's one. We're missing something.
The bathroom, the old folks' home. She starts doing the research.
So who's the last? Is it Trevor? Because Voight gets what he wants. He opens the gate.
Which had to be 6.
So there would have to be a 6th.
And she stole it when it was in the Leviathan configuration and stabbed.
So who's the last person that fucking opens it up? Is it Trevor?
It's Colin. But
Colin doesn't die.
He doesn't die. But she stabs him, and that was the last one.
You're
and
right.
then she substitutes Trevor at the end.
Maybe it's just 5 sacrifices, and then just the 6th thing is just like you've gotten it to the 6th Leviathan configuration. So maybe we're fucking this up. Maybe it's 5 sacrifices with 6 configurations, if that makes sense.
I'm gonna find out right now. Sure.
Because think of it this way: if you have to get a sacrifice to get from one configuration to the next, configuration 1, sacrifice, configuration 2, sacrifice, configuration 3, sacrifice, configuration 4, sacrifice, configuration, that gets you to configuration 6. So that's only 5 sacrifices.
But you need to sacrifice on the last one.
That's
Wait.
not true.
In the beginning of the movie,
That's
Joey
what causes it to change.
Wait. When the first guy gets it in the intro, is it a cube? No.
Which one?
No,
because he's already completed it.
right, he's got 5 of them, and when he does it, it turns into the double pyramid.
Yeah, that's the
Leviathan
last one. That's Leviathan configuration.
It only takes 5.
Yes, that's my point.
That's kind of
But
weird.
it makes sense actually if you do the math. Like it's the sacrifice is the thing you do to make it change. You don't need to do a 6th sacrifice. It's already changed.
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So I think we're just being dumb.
Interesting.
But 6 configurations and 6 prizes. 1 of 6 prizes.
I guess, yeah. That's what you kind of said. So yeah.
You're like, all of them!
Yeah, like you did say I can't ask for more wishes. So yeah, life, knowledge, love, sensation, resurrection, power. You get to pick something that represents each one of those categories.
Yeah.
Voight originally, in the beginning of the movie when he got it, he had picked sensation.
You're right.
And by the end of the movie, when he tries to make this deal to get it out of him, because
Yeah.
he has a fucking...
At that point, he doesn't even really want anything. He's just like,
I want to die.
I want to
one.
die. Yeah, I
But-
just don't want to exist anymore.
Or just stop all this.
Yeah.
And what he has is a device in his chest that's like pulling on his nerves.
Yeah, it's
and
fucking
he
weird.
says he does it in random intervals and random
Yeah.
ways so that his body won't become numb to it.
Right.
Which is, that's smart and
Yeah.
gross. And then when she says the thing about the thresholds, and that there's other thresholds, she's like, you thought you wanted you thought you were looking for sensations.
But now we realize you
Which,
want
pain,
power.
you really wanted power.
Yeah.
Power is...
Hey, guess what? You get to be a Cenobite.
Well, when we get there, let's figure out the hell that was all
We
about.
also skipped over the scene that I want to talk about.
We're not there yet. We're not at the end of the movie. I'm just saying
No,
that...
I want to talk about the Nora.
I know. I'm saying we're not at the end of the movie yet. We're just kind of jumping
okay.
forward because of
Oh,
that.
okay,
So
okay.
that was power, and power is one of the things. And then we'll talk about what the hell that is. And yes, someone's gonna need to do a video essay to show me what the hell Cenobite Jesus is all about, because that is some weird shit. So they go to the house. She goes there. He knew she was going there, so then everybody shows up to help her. They hear her scream. She sees Matt, or apparition of him. I thought it was really interesting when she goes, "Is that really you?" And then Matt says, "Do you want it to be?"
Again, back to what stuff we talked about before, I think the Cenobites can kind of fuck with you. They can definitely, like, get in your head.
But the fact that they said that makes
Yeah.
you go 100%, well, they're telling you that that's not him, and yet she
Right.
runs up and hugs him anyways.
Right.
I mean, whatever. Characters do dumb stuff in movies.
Yeah.
But even, like, you would go, why would I trust anything at this point? And then it leads to, like, she hugs him, and then she feels fleshiness. Kind of, I think there's a mirror behind, and you see that he's basically Frank from the first movie with no skin. In this reality, how do you, at some point, just walk away from it, knowing that, like, you have doomed people that you know to an eternity
I mean, that's kind of the point,
suffering,
right?
but you can't do anything about it?
Yeah.
Are you like, well, I guess I'm alive, so I'm happy?
I mean, that's kind of how I always felt about Hellbound, like in the second one after watching it recently. Because one of my problems still kind of is that, like, the impetus for that movie is like her dad showing up being like, I am in hell, help me.
Yeah.
And, like, that was a really good plot point. It was like, let's make a movie about, yeah, that's right. What about your dad? Like,
Wait, sorry, let me step back. Her uncle, her dad.
Her dad.
Her uncle sacrificed her dad somehow, right?
He just killed him and took his skin. Again, the legality.
Oh,
and rules-
yeah. Okay.
The legality and rules in the first movie, I think, are a lot less established. But
It was more like what the first two movies do, where, like, she was sacrificing people for the blood to get the stuff, to get him to come
it's like
back.
they're feeding on you.
Mhm.
Like, they can suck
So
out your
they're not really getting
life force.
They're not getting Cenobited.
Not really, but
They're-
but again, I feel like they're being a lot less nebulous about it. Like, they're in hell. Like, hell, I don't know. Like, or it's just another new lie, because obviously in Hellbound, when she gets down there
No.
to Leviathan,
The whole help me,
yeah,
that's her uncle, right?
no, it's her dad.
I
She
kinda-
believes it's her dad. Why
she
the fuck would she
believes-
try to?
But I don't think it is.
It ends up being her uncle.
Right.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying, is it's a weird bait and switch. So I'm like, by the end of the movie,
Yeah.
am I supposed to just assume that, oh, her dad's fine, he's in heaven?
He's just dead. I don't think he's being tortured. Right. So yes. So in like 1 and 2, when she would feed people on the mattress,
Yeah.
they're not getting tortured eternally. They're just getting killed.
Right. And that's kind of what I believe about these people too. Like Nora or Serena.
So
I don't think they're like languishing in something. I think they're just being torn
When
apart.
Pinhead says in this, it's weird to call it Pinhead when it's not Doug Bradley.
Well, that's because it's not their fucking name. It's the name that people came up with it.
What's the name that
I like saying the priest or the
the
priestess.
visual effects artist came up with Pinhead in the first movie?
I know that, but there's never.
Yes, it's the high priest.
I like priest.
Which
Or
it's not.
priestess
It's not
or
always
whatever.
been the same act. I mean, okay. In reality, with us, it's
Yeah.
not been the same actor now.
Yeah.
In the world of Hellraiser, it also changes people.
Right.
The high priest actually is because before Doug Bradley became the high priest, someone else was the high priest before him, so it was a different person. So it can change in that world of Hellraiser, in addition to our reality of actors. Yeah, because Pinhead says in this one, like, their suffering was yum before we got rid of or extinguished them, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, yeah, is he just dead?
I don't know.
Or is he being tortured?
Now we're asking like metaphysical questions, but I think that like in a clinical sense, they're dead. Like they're not.
Nora only suffered for like a minute, and then she's just because they ripped her back off, and then she's gone.
Yeah, I think so.
So
because the main purpose for them is sacrifice. That's it. It's a blood sacrifice just to get the ball rolling.
But Voight, on the other hand,
that's different.
He gets it for a long time.
Yeah.
So.
You're talking about with his device chest thing, or in. Well, because that was the gift he asked for.
Even go back to 3 when it picks up the female and it rips her skin off, Pyramid Head style.
Yeah.
And then she gets sucked into the statue. She didn't. I think their faces show up in the statue.
I don't like going to the sequels for rules.
But it is Hellraiser and it has stuff. So yeah, okay. Regardless of that, some people maybe they just die. Some people maybe they do get tortured forever. I feel like part of what the speech is to Riley is all like with all the regret and all the stuff. You have to live with the fact that these people are being tortured all.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's
kind of important because one thought I had when we were talking that I hadn't thought about before was the resurrection.
Yeah.
And I when you said that, I fully believed in my head that there's a version of this movie or a sequel, whatever, or like, oh, if you chose resurrection for Matt, what we saw happen to Frank, that's exactly what would have happened to Matt. It would have been like not what you think it is. He would have come back as like a weird fucking thing that you would have fed people to before like he like came back to being a normal human being.
And part of the original was I'm trying to get out of here, but I can't come into the real world looking like this.
Right.
And they don't know that I'm here right now. I'm hiding. So if I can put your dad's skin on me, they won't know it's me.
So actually, maybe part of me does believe that they're. I don't know. It's neither here nor there because it's not something we completely understand.
Yeah, but it is stuff that the movie does.
But that's I think what if somebody chose Resurrection, it wouldn't be something fun. It wouldn't just be like, oh, they're back. Like it would be something like in the first movie.
But yeah, to like at one point when Trevor's like, just get rid of the box, and which now that by the end of the movie he's actually working for Voight. She's the mark. And I don't see why Voight was mad at him. He's got 4 or 5 people at this point. He's done good. Is that he really tries to like tell her to stop.
Yeah.
When it's like, no, I don't get. You really wanted this not to happen, but yet you still continue to do it.
I think she can bring her brother back.
No. Is that Trevor? Like he would get in trouble if he didn't let her continue.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that character motivation.
Like, did he actually kind of like fall for her and want to save her? But then at the end,
let's just call him an imperfect character that just doesn't necessarily have a good plan, or I don't know.
And then at the end, he's just like, and I get at the end, he's kind of like, well, we're here at this point. There's no fighting it.
Yeah.
So I could see maybe he wants to go back, and then at a point later on, he's like, well, we've already gone this far. There's nothing, you can't go back. But yeah, man, just me personally, get this fucking box away from me. But knowing that, like, someone that I love, like, I have to try to save them.
It's like taking a loaded gun and saying, like, I don't want this, but if you just leave it on a park bench and then,
No, it's worse than that. It's knowing that this person is, what I assumed was that they're just being tortured forever. And you're going to go, well, I threw the box away and I get to live.
Yeah.
And you're happy because I don't want to do that. But, like, if my wife was being tortured, I'd kill myself. But I'm still not going to save her.
That's still important, and I think it's important to at least for the characters to believe that that's true because, well, I'm getting into the movie, but she chooses lament. Well, she doesn't know that. They tell her that you've chosen lament.
Your own life.
Yeah, which is like basically regret. Like you're going to, yes, you are going to live the rest of your life knowing you did these things to these people.
See, but if my wife is just dead, I can not move on, but like I can take that,
I do think that,
that's why I asked the question of like, are you being tortured eternally?
I know,
because that is a lot of weight, especially if you want to try to save them.
I mean, like, I don't hate to get too scientific with these things, but yeah, it's a question of whether they're lying or not.
It's got like really serious right now, and I'm like, it's affecting me. Like I'm actually thinking about this because like what would it take for me to have my brother-in-law come back? And it's been like 8 or 9 years, and I had a dream with him the other night, and it was a good dream. I have to see him and. This has nothing to do with anything, but like he looked at me and it was like, as if like I was like, is this a dream? Like this isn't real, right? And he kind of was like, yeah, I'm still gone, but hey, I'm here right now, and like what would I do to get him back? Because I miss him dearly, and but he's not being tortured, so I can live with the fact that he's gone. It's okay. I'm sad. I miss him, but I don't. If I knew he was being tortured in hell. I mean, would
I hear what you're saying. I think on a movie level, just a movie level, I think the idea that you've killed, not even indirectly,
it's your fault.
It's your fault.
You get to blame yourself.
And that's still, but if you had a chance to fix it,
You would, right?
Right.
Yeah. See, and if I had to risk being somehow eternally tortured to save my brother-in-law, no. If he was just dead, no chance in hell.
Right.
It ain't worth it.
Right.
If my wife is being tortured forever, like, does she get to see me and go like, he's still living a life there?
Yeah.
You know, would I risk? I couldn't risk that for anything, but I would have to live with so much guilt and shame, and you would just want to kill yourself. But that changes for me. That changes the trajectory of how this character feels, and I don't know what the movie's telling me.
I don't either.
So
that's where I kind of like. I mean, because I've just watched it, it's still kind of fresh in my mind. But like, I feel
I'm gonna go cry a little bit in the bathroom right now.
A lot of thematics there with the main character and everything she's been with. I thought that came to a really interesting, good point on a character level.
Yeah.
But also on a thematic level that I don't quite understand completely yet. But I do think that there's something there, like to be said, like, what does this say about addiction, or what does this say about, you know,
or was it all a dream?
Regrets in general?
Is it all a dream because she took those 3 pills? And she only just take one. It was all fake, you know. But yeah, again,
I thought that was a really nice note.
But to affect
very
me.
Bittersweet. You know, not like the first movie. I mean, the first movie, her dad's gone, right? And again, like, by the second movie, she might think that her dad's suffering in hell.
Yeah,
Who knows?
He tricks her. That's it. It wasn't her. Yeah,
no, it's not her. Her dad's dead.
Yeah, so he tricks her to think that her dad's being suffered, but it's
Correct.
not. Yeah, Frank is being suffered because he opened.
But my point being, it's not a happy ending. But my point is that she gets somewhat off scot-free.
Someone being dead sucks. But it's shit a lot better than you're being tortured.
Right. Point being that, like, the end of the first movie, by contrast, is Kirsty getting away with her boyfriend. Like the guy that she's kind of into, because he doesn't die. Like, he kind of comes.
Oh yeah, he's like saves her.
Yeah,
or
and
not
he
he saves her,
the
but
old bum like at the end who turns into a giant dragon. I fucking love that movie. But in this movie, I like the element of bittersweetness.
Yeah, and she does.
You're saving yourself, but that's it.
The actress does a really good job of selling it too.
Yeah.
I guess I have to. The reason why I'm kind of like really analyzing it in my head right now, not my bed, is that for a movie to affect you, that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think that it affected me as much. But then as we talk about it and I think about it, I'm like, it's affecting me because I have lost in my life, and yeah, I guess I could say good job, but I don't think the movie was going for that. But I took it as that maybe, and then it fucked me up. And
I think if there was something you did that you blamed yourself for it, then like certainly.
Yeah, and
like,
I mean, I had nothing. There's no blame in my life.
But I mean, even like stuff like that, like let's say you're the brother, not you personally, but I mean, like in the movie, you're Matt, and you tell your sister, like, you fuck off, get out of here, right? Yeah. Even as he's saying it, you can tell you're aggressive. That's why she tells him, she says, yell it out loud, so you really fucking mean it, so you understand. Because what if something happened to her that night? He would feel responsible.
Well, because in reality, there's nothing. I would never not want you to be here, no matter what. But if you don't change, I'm enabling you.
Right.
What am I supposed to do? But I don't want you to go.
It's kind of a good movie.
All right, let's just get back. Okay, they're in the house. They're all there. They're splitting up, going to the bathroom, flipping switches. Nora opens a secret door and goes behind the walls.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there's a figure inside the walls who stabs her with the box. Oh, the box is missing for some or whatever it is, and she gets stabbed again against her will. Yet she then gets Cenobited.
That's true.
Which so she gets out. They're whatever. As they leave the house to go try to take her to the hospital, you see that it's void. And you're like, oh, he's been living on the walls of his house for 6 years, whatever.
Total gothic fan of the opera shit.
Which then leads to the whole scene of the van. They're driving away. They can't. Where's the turn at? I don't know. The roads are changing, and then the van stretches, and she's somehow being transported back to the hallways. It felt like, was she back? Or no, it was a hallway. Like
she was just like in Leviathan.
Well, the same thing happens in 2.
Yeah,
the hallway opens,
and
that you see earlier in the movie.
Yeah,
and then she gets. I don't know if you want to, because this is more your.
I just thought it was a cool scene. I don't really have anything much to say about it. I thought that some of the writing was. There were some real banger lines, in the original. People, we will tear your soul apart. Like, people remember that shit.
Well, Pinhead says, like, what are you praying for?
That I just thought was really good dialogue, and I just want to take my hat off to the writers. That's all, because that was a really good scene. With the and she says salvation. Because the fact that I can remember this, like, and she says, and what would that look like? One joyful note.
Yeah.
Unending. Not changing for all eternity.
How boring.
That's not music. That's such a good line. The rest of it's okay. She's like, oh, the things you can do with the body, da 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 da. But that
while she's saying, so she's using this like music metaphor.
Yeah.
She's taken the one from her head.
Right.
And then she's sticking it through her throat. And then you get an inside camera shot of her larynx with the needle going through. And it's changing much like Day of the Dead when they rip Rose's... No, sorry. No, when they...
Yeah, when they're tearing apart. And he's like...
No. No, not Rhodes, not Steel. The Duke.
Oh yeah. The guy that with the guy that's they all got big dicks. That guy.
I forgot about that.
That's when they had throwbacks, man. They all got big dicks. Let's watch that. Okay, so
oh my god,
I knew exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and they rip his head off,
hitting his head off
in high pitches.
Yeah, I love that thing.
So yeah, she's playing music with her. And I thought that was, you didn't get that?
No, that's great.
Oh, I thought 100% was that she was changing her vocal cords, and she's like, this is music. You know, your scream goes high, your scream goes low.
It's good shit. That's all. Good
music
lines.
to my ears. So Nora gets, and then her back gets ripped off, and while she's hanging upside down, like this is a good wire work.
Contorted. She looks like what's her face in the end of Night House.
I know you were saying that, but it's not.
That
quite.
One is she was kind of more like I don't know.
That one's the statue she's bound. It's like your arms behind your back. You know.
There's something about all that stuff. I'm not going to get into that.
Well, I guess eyelash in my eye. It was good practical effects.
Yeah,
it looked good. So.
I don't have anything else to talk about with the ending, so...
The body is made to feel so much more, and you're going to feel it all.
Oh, yeah.
But that's why I go, like, that's torture. If you kill me in 1 minute, it sucks for that 1 minute, but that's not... I assume they're going to take their time with you, but you're right. What if it's like the 5 sacrifices or nothing, and the person who gets it at the end,
I mean, they're still going to have some fun, you know, but, like, it's really just...
Or it's like...
It's a means to an end.
You open the box.
Yeah.
You're going to have fun.
Right.
Anyone you sacrifice kind of goes quick. So... And I actually don't know what this note means. So, it's interesting. Pinhead gives her, I'm assuming Riley, a choice, but she refuses. She's like, either you or 2 more to go. Or, you have 2 more to go. But yet, they're still chasing her. They're not giving her time to find. But the thing is, she's with 2 people. She's very much saying, like, you want to fuck these 2 people over right now? I'll let you do it. And she's like, no. But can I go find 2 homeless people and just kind of get rid of them? Which I know it's mean, but that's what the 9th movie had, is like the homeless people like,
Well, that's essentially what Voight does.
Number 7 is like that. When they're underground, it's like the homeless people like, no one cares about them, so just sacrifice them. Yeah. And the second movie.
With the mental patients.
Yeah, very much so. But no, I think she was very much going, you're standing next to 2 people. I'll take them for you, And could you live with yourself? But I don't want to go.
Right.
If it's me or you, then it comes at night. It's very much like, hey man, I got nothing against you, but when people get desperate, it doesn't matter. If there's food and water, and it's between us, and I need the food and water.
I just realized that I really, really want you to watch The Platform if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, tell me later.
We'll talk about it later.
So they run, and the Cenobite goes right past Colin. And I think he realizes, I've never done anything here, so technically they're not going for me.
Right.
But it pushes the gate open. So the chattering teeth is strong as hell. And it pushes the gate and kind of traps them, which physically didn't make sense, because I feel like it reaches, and it would have been right there. But it goes and it bites Trevor's arm. And I'm going, but Trevor didn't do anything.
Yeah, but he didn't do it immediately. It was Trevor. First he was kind of like...
Well, it was going after her, and then
he was like trying to...
Because it was trying to get to him, too.
Like,
but it didn't go after Colin, so I thought, like, it's only going to go after her, but then it bites Trevor. So those another one of these rules into the thing? I don't know.
Just don't cut anybody else and then we're all good. Just keep it safe and don't have anybody get cut, and then nobody does anything.
But it bites him good enough to, like, he's losing a lot of blood, he's going to die.
That's the thing, it's like, they're still corporeal beings, right?
Well, again, you saw, she stabbed him, chains came in.
Yeah.
Hey, there was no suffering for him.
Yeah.
They just exploded him.
Yeah. I love that. He just backed up, put his arms out.
He's like, all right, I'm done. All caps, I knew the boyfriend was in on it.
Yeah.
It's a weird scene when he comes up and covers his mouth, and you think that, like, oh shit, something's gonna happen, and it's like, I don't want you to hear, because we need to have a conversation right now, because you work for me. And I was like, oh, okay. I knew something was up from the beginning, but it wasn't what I thought necessarily, but it was. So yeah. Okay, I forgot one of my notes. Again, here's me being a good editor. I'm gonna toot my own horn. I say it's just missing a few lines of dialogue to make this more believable. At one point, she's yelling at Trevor, going, "What? You don't believe me?" It's like, I believe you. And she's like, "You don't trust me," or something like that. I said, look, the good writer in me would have said, he needed to say one line of dialogue that would have changed a lot of this and would have made it that much better. He should have said, it's because I believe you that I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do it, because that's what I would say. And one of the interviews, I think they asked, I think it was Colin. He mentioned that, like, you know, when you watch, I get to be the voice of reason in the show or in the movie. Was that none of this is real, and then when it happens, oh my God, what would I do? Like in real life, if you saw this, what would you do? Your brain would break, right? That's why if there's really aliens, the government has to keep it a secret because it would be mass panic because people's brain would break, right? He's like, I get to be the voice of reason, which I took it in turn as like, that's what the audience is. And I hate when you watch a movie and someone does something and you're like, why doesn't nobody say this or do this? And I think that it would have been really, really impactful if Trevor had said, it's because I believe you that I don't want you to pursue this.
Right.
I'm scared of it.
I think that was what was implied in his...
Implied, but I would have loved to hear it said. Because it would change his character so that when he does double-cross her, you'd go, whoa, I wasn't expecting that because he seemed legitimate.
But I don't think he believed in it initially. He didn't believe in any of that stuff, I don't think.
Yeah, he probably just thought it was some rich guy.
Yeah.
But then again, once he saw it, he fucking was like, I don't care. Again, little lines, little things I think that would just... It makes the movie that much better when you see something... Just something in a character that just that little switch of like, oh, that's great. Kind of like what I think how this Riley, the actress, she sells an addict who's a piece of shit really well. I believe her 100% of the time. So, yeah. All right. So we're pretty much at the end of the movie, huh?
Again, I mean, we already talked about her choosing Lament.
Well, I mean, yeah. So at this point, everyone's. I mean, the Cenobites are there. They have the gates that they can close to keep them out. She says, "Let one of them in so I can stab them, and then that'll be the last sacrifice, and we're all free." It doesn't quite work out. Voight shows up, stabs Colin. Colin runs away. The gates close, but then Trevor opens the gates again. So it's like, I got away. I'm not got away. This kind of stuff. We'll talk. You can talk about that scene that you like. After that, when she's talking, this Pinhead is talking to Voight, and says, "Oh, you didn't want sensation, you wanted power." She heals him. The thing comes out, and you get to see his body,
which is kind of cool. I felt like it was another nod to the special effects in the first movie.
And I guess I felt so bad because I go, but I've seen shit like this before.
Yeah.
It's not impressive, so I don't care.
But it's impressive in the first movie because you go like, yeah, wait, they didn't have any fucking computers back then. Like, I don't know how this looks great.
So yeah, like I was like, you said about taking a date, like the guy you work with, like having to take a girlfriend, and I look at that, and most people are like, oh, ooh, and I'm just sitting there going, hi, it's good, but I just don't care.
Yeah.
But then a humongous chain comes down and goes right through his chest. And then
I forgot about that. Yeah.
It's not a regular size chain. Yeah, it's a big chain.
It's Leviathan's chain.
And chest, and then he gets lifted up into the sky or whatever. But before that, if you wanted to talk about the scene with the choice.
I don't have much to say about it. We talked about it already. I just think I just said that thematically I thought that was really fascinating to give her like a kind of bittersweet ending. That's all.
Well, oh yeah, because I forgot what happens is that she steals it's not a cube, it's not a box, it's not a Lament configuration, it's the Leviathan configuration at that point. And I like that they're, at one point, all the Cenobites are standing there and they're like, they chant all the names or whatever, and I'm like, oh, there's so much lore.
Yeah.
But she takes it, and Colin is strung up at this point. And she stabs, or she says something to the Cenobite there that has the wires around her head. And Trevor like kind of knows she's coming for him, and she stabs him. Trevor gets taken. Then she now has an audience with God, or whatever the God is, and she can choose. And she asks her, like, what do you want? But before that conversation happens, Voight had the conversation saying that, like, their gifts are tricks.
Yeah.
Like you said, the Dark Genie, like, that really sold. And this is where you go, you didn't have to say it, but I'm glad they said it. They spelled it out for the audience. They might give you something, but it's not what you think it's going to be. They're going to fuck with you somehow.
Right.
Don't take it. And she chooses nothing.
She chooses nothing, but then the priestess still says that in itself is a choice.
Yeah.
You're choosing lament.
And the box or the thing goes back.
You're still choosing pain. Like all of these things are pain.
Right.
Everything is pain.
Right.
All of it is pain. Even you choosing this is pain.
Double-sided coin here is you get to live, but you have to live with all that pain.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of got that, and I always thought it was really interesting that like lament means life in this situation,
which sounds like a nice thing, you know, like that's the good thing you want to choose.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's specifically the kind of human emotional pain, I guess, that we're you know.
Which is interesting because
maybe not physical pain.
The first stage is lament. It goes back to being a cube again,
right?
Which would start the whole process over again for whoever finds it next time. Right. But what if she had picked like resurrection? Would the thing?
I think then personally, I think something similar to what happens to Frank in the first movie, but for Matt.
No. Would the configuration only go back one step?
Oh, I see what you're
Or would
saying.
it start over again? I imagine it would
I
start
don't know.
over.
That's interesting.
It was just interesting how she's like, you chose Lament. It goes back into the Lament configuration.
I hope people watch enough of these that we get a sequel. I would like to. I think there's enough interesting lore here that I would certainly like to see it played with more. I did have kind of a sad thought because I was just like, it's not the greatest movie ever made, but it's pretty darn good. And whatever they do next is probably just not going to be as good. They're just going to get lesser quality.
I mean,
so it's like I want sequels because of kind of like, well, of course, like I had all these shitty bad Hellraiser movies, and now we get a good one, and this stuff's kind of interesting.
So if I say like, hey, they're making another Terminator movie, you go, it's probably going to be shit. But you go, but what if it's not?
But what if it's not?
What if it's good, right?
Yeah.
Are they going to make another Prey? Or are they going to make another Predator movie?
Yeah.
I said you shouldn't do a sequel to Prey,
Right.
but they opened the door to it. It could be
If somebody was
interesting.
creative enough to build upon these things, they could have a whole franchise all over again.
But I feel like you have to always just go, no, you can't. You have to move somewhere else. You have to go different
I don't
time
know.
period. Yeah, because I don't want to see Riley.
I don't want to see a different time period.
No, I mean like with Prey.
Oh, Prey, that's different. Yeah,
Let's go like another 100 years.
No. What I want to see is more fucking with the rules. I
Right.
want to see like you've established the lore and mythology. Now that was really interesting. Like, what happens if you do? It stops on that. Like, what can you do anything fun with that? Like the idea of stabbing a Cenobite. Like that was like, whoa!
Can I stab all you guys
Whoa!
and get fucking get rid of
What
you?
does that mean? Like, what? This is crazy. Like, that stuff's fun.
But I don't want to see Riley in a sequel.
No, I don't want to see Riley.
And like you said, if they make a sequel, it's like it's
And
probably not going to be as good.
No, yeah. No, they need to do something different.
It's one of the
But I don't mind seeing Void again.
Yeah, no, he should be. I've been waiting for like when I edit this video, I'm like, he becomes a new penis head.
Yeah,
Because that's what
guy
happened.
with the dick in his head. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what happened. And like you mentioned, the Cenobites having agency.
Yeah.
Pinhead chooses to help them in 2.
right.
Before in 3, he really chooses to help them in a different way.
Yeah.
I'm
just saying. Let me put it. You kind of actually. I'm having. I'm having thoughts as we talk.
Does
about
if you make another one, David Bruckner's not going to direct it.
No, I doubt it.
So do you even have the opportunity to make a good one
That's
again?
what I'm saying. That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
saying like this might. I want more, but I don't want more because it's just gonna. I think it's just gonna get worse. That being said, it's fun to think about.
Yeah.
And like what I was gonna say is that because we were talking about like kind of the gore or just like the transgressiveness of like the gore and stuff like that. Like it's not enough anymore. I mean, it's cool, but like at this point, like I think if you were smart, you would just keep going with this mythology angle that just happens to have this really fucked up BDSM kind of thing going along with it.
So do you admit at this point these are only made for people who are into the Hellraiser?
I don't know. I'm very curious. Just like with Predator, I'm very fascinated to hear somebody talk about
this being their first one.
Yeah,
in the
I'm
franchise,
very interested. Like, what do you want to see? Did you think like all the torture and stuff was like fucked up and scary, and like, or
comment down below in this YouTube video you're watching,
or were you like, no, it was the mythology, and I'm more interested in that.
Subscribe and hit the bell.
I want to see Leviathan. I want to see these. Where did the Cenobites come from? Let's go see that. Like that's
And you always run the risk of if you
overexposing it, right? But there's a mix. But if you do decide to go that way with it, I think you can still make it really interesting. Like you can have what happens when Voight, like, now he's a Cenobite.
Oh no, he can totally be in the
He
next
has
one.
a power. He has power now. So what if he's petty though? You're just like, oh, now he's one of the crew, right? Like, oh, maybe not. Maybe he wants to fucking like still get revenge on the priestess or something. You know what I mean? Like, you could do some interesting stuff there as long as you don't make, you could. I'm saying a super dark, and whenever I say dark fantasy, I mean a super dark fantasy film could still be really interesting to me. I guess is what I'm saying. Like, do Mad God.
So the last thing that I want to get your take on.
Okay.
So after Voight gets pulled up into...
I have no idea.
Not heaven.
I have no opinion.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll just say it out loud and kind of like
I
talk
don't
it
know.
out.
I don't know.
He gets pulled up and now he has picked power. So does he like become Leviathan? Like he's now the one who's
Because
in the
Leviathan
thing?
is power.
Right. But what we see it's almost like this almost could have felt like it would have been in a Marvel movie. It would have been the credit stinger, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't even part of the main
definitely,
story.
Yeah.
It shows him like floating on a white cloud on a little like golden thing, and his arms are on it and moves him up, and now he's in Jesus posture.
Yeah.
Rips his skin, just starts getting ripped off by nothing. It's like by imaginary chains, right? And rips him, and it rips his mouth open, and kind of a smile in a way. But I was like, is he become the new Chatterer? Because the Chatterer is the one that got Cenobite killed, but the box. No, he's not going to do that. He becomes floating Jesus in the sky of Cenobitism?
I don't know.
What the... I mean,
have
and
no
I
idea.
love that the imagery is obviously hinting at that.
Yeah.
But I want to know...
I don't know. Somebody else has got
What
to
does that mean?
do their video essay and they can tell me.
And I don't want to hear them. I want to hear the writer tell me. You know what I mean?
Well, eventually, hopefully, commentaries and shit, right? So, I will say this though. There was that.
I wish you had something on that.
I
want
don't.
something.
Like his eyes change. That I thought was really fascinating. Like he
kind of like the monster.
He's very like
right?
freaking out, even though he can't do anything about it, and he looks like he's in pain and in
but not as much
panic. Well, I don't think he can do anything. I don't think he can move.
Right, like he's stuck in place.
So all the acting is just whatever he can do is just in the eyes.
Yeah, you know what? Because when the pins go in like his throat area, he does react to it.
Yeah.
In a very unhappy sort of way.
Right.
Yeah.
But at some point, those eyes kind of like there's a switch, you know, and I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, well, because those eyes match closely to that one Cenobite that doesn't look like a torture, more like a monster. That the splitty hands one, she has the dark eyes.
Right.
So
I don't know.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
But that metaphor and what's another word that's like you're the good word person.
Metaphor's fine.
Besides metaphor, there's
Symbols.
stuff. Yeah, symbolism and things like that. Yeah, oh come on, symbol. I mean, literally, he's up there on a cross. And,
You know, it's funny because it might be all over this new one that I just missed it, but you know where it is all over is in the original, and I just watched it. So one of the things I noticed is there are constant like Virgin Marys or like crucifixes and even like characters like looking at him and be like Christy sees like a Virgin Mary like I'm gonna win, and she's like that.
Oh.
Like it's like 3 times like in the movie, like to me.
Oh
very,
my
like,
God,
deliberate.
there's that line that because Nora is obviously a religious person because
Right.
she does the prayer. There's a part where Riley says something about
I forgot about that. That was a pretty obvious religious thing.
The audience with God, and then Colin goes, "You don't even believe in God," you know. And then I think she's like,
Right,
"Well, it doesn't
that's
mean
true.
God. It means like their God." You know?
Right, yeah.
And it was just interesting to see that, like, okay, obviously, like she's the atheist,
Right.
and you know, whatever. It's not just symbolism. It's not just metaphor. It's actually in the movie, but also parts of it are not explained and they are metaphor. So,
Right.
I hope it's not.
The colors changed, like it was white and gold. It felt very gaudy. It felt very like
Yeah. Oh.
this is what this
Those
was
whites felt like clouds.
yeah, this is like what the Pope looks like and shit. You know, when he's wearing seriously, it's like a little white and gold and not always they have like different outfits.
Like, did
but,
they put a hat on him?
Yeah,
Hey, man, if you don't have a big fancy hat,
I don't know. Somebody
Yeah.
smarter than me can
but I hope
tease that
it's
out.
not just like I wouldn't like again me as a writer. I don't usually have deepness like that. I don't have some weird thing. I like to just tell a good story or things like that. Or I like interesting characters. You know, whatever. I hope it wasn't just done in not for shock value, but for like, ooh, look at this imagery, and you're like, well, what's the story behind it? You're like, oh, there is none.
Yeah.
It just looks good.
they have a reason.
So I usually trust a good writer.
These writers,
you know.
I've listened to podcasts with them before. I think like they're pretty chatty.
They know their
they
stuff.
like talking about like
Okay.
their what was in their mind when they were doing it and stuff. So here's to hoping, and either like in interviews or whatever, we get some of
It's
that.
like when you watch a David Lynch thing and you go,
well, yeah, David Lynch is just like fuck you.
he's never going to tell me.
No.
But he knows it means something.
Yeah.
It might not mean anything what makes sense to us,
Yeah.
but it means something to him.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you watch like the art of life, which is like a documentary about David Lynch, some of his like call them paintings, but they're like sculpture paintings, that kind of stuff. Some of them do reflect specifically about his life. He'll tell stories about when he was a kid. This, and you're like, oh, I fucking see it. But then some stuff, you're like, he just likes the way it looks. It doesn't have I remember the yellow light in Twin Peaks, the crossing light swinging and it turns yellow. From what I kind of gleaned, is like that didn't ever really mean anything. He just thought it looked cool. So it's like sometimes it's nothing, sometimes it's a lot. You know, so I hope that it's a lot and not just nothing because nothing seems cheap. So yeah.
All right.
That's
Hellraiser.
That's our Hellraiser discussion. Actually, it was really regardless of the camera being here on YouTube, that was a fun discussion between us because versus Prey, it was just like, hey, this is a fun movie, whatever. There's a lot more to unpack here, and I'm glad that we were able to kind of challenge each other on that. This has been a really lazy, laid back on this couch. Like I'm so
ready to
sunk
fall
in.
asleep, man.
I feel like it's such a shitty YouTube video, but you know, hey, whatever. We're just sharing it with the world, I guess. Two white guys of the podcast. Oh god,
Could be worse. You could be being tortured by Cenobites for all eternity.
Sometimes it makes me want to like, why are we doing this? I feel so down on it. And then you guys are like, oh, but I like you guys talking about it. So At this point, I just feel like we're just recording ourselves talking.
I mean, it's worth it for me because then I'm going to go back to work and talk to other people about Hellraiser, and I'm going to have things to talk about because I've already talked about it.
I'm gonna go back to work and talk to nobody about it.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I work next to the counselor, and I love that she's 50 years old. She didn't marry, didn't have any kids. She takes care of her mom with her sister, and totally different upbringing. Like she's scared of ghosts and stuff, and she's not like a super intellectual, but she has like a master's, but she does counseling for kids and stuff in high school. And I love giving her movie recommendations because she will go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, and she's like, I loved it. It was so great. Go watch Ted Lasso. She binged watched Ted Lasso in 2 days. So someone who does not seem very filmic and like us and stuff, I love that when I give her something to do, she will go watch it. She will love it. She'll want to talk to me about it. And I'll be like, oh, I saw Hellraiser. She's gonna be like, oh, so how was it? You know what I mean? Like, I love that she's not like a horror person, but she's gonna want to know about it. And I have one person to talk to at work about it, and it's so not like a comic book person or whatever. It's a totally different. She's 15 years or 12, 13 years older than me. Grew up a different lifestyle, but she likes good stuff. And I think that's what sometimes we do these reviews. Like I said, I checked YouTube before I left work today, and I saw how many reviews were already in for this movie that came out today, and it was disappointing. And it's the same reason why Alpha Rookie in general kind of chose, we want to just do our own thing. We don't want to review the popular movie. We don't want to review everything else. But Hellraiser, all of a sudden, we chose to do a 9-movie podcast, which was a joke. And now, fucking Hellraiser's the big thing now. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of funny. And same thing with Prey.
I'm so happy to see this.
Yeah.
The first movie I really...
But we deserve to get the views. Like, we talked about it first. I guess that's my thing, is I kind of hate that, like, I don't want people to think that we're clout chasing because we did this before it was cool. Literally, when they were terrible movies, we were talking about them. But it is nice to have a franchise turn it around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, God, they've been run... I think the first Hellraiser movie is better than most of our long-running, like, franchise movies, Like,
most of those start with a good movie. And then...
But even, like, Friday the 13th, and don't get mad. Okay, I love Friday the 13th. It's probably my favorite franchise overall.
It is?
Maybe.
Really?
Out of the long-running ones? Overall?
Over Leprechaun?
Yes, definitely for fucking Leprechaun. Well, over what else? Yeah, probably.
I mean,
I'm not talking about like Alien. I mean like horror franchises.
I feel like I guess when you say the word franchise, I see what you mean, because there's a lot of horror stuff that you like more, but they're not franchise necessarily.
No. But that's what I'm saying overall. Because I think like the first Halloween. Listen, I think the first Halloween is a better movie than any Friday the 13th movie. Now I know you don't want to hear that.
I like the first Halloween movie.
I'm just saying that I think I objectively understand that it like how important that movie is. I think the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a better movie than any of the Friday the 13th movies. I think maybe the first. I really like the first Hellraiser.
Okay, two YouTube videos in a row where I'm going to throw out another shout out to Foo for Thought.
I've been listening to you.
That he is. I actually listened to the first podcast and I enjoy it. But whatever. He says, and he's like the only person I click with on this. I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was stupid.
Whatever.
I feel that way. He feels that way. He's gonna go back and watch it again, and I'm wondering to see what he says about it. I think you saying that the Friday, I guess it's just Friday the 13th franchise being your favorite is that it's just a slasher movie.
I know.
That's weird that could be the number
but
one.
The enjoyment that I get from it. So it's like if you like ups and downs and grades and an overall average. Like if you say
which one's
watch
the
all
best?
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies or watch all the Friday the 13th movies, guess what's wrong? I could fucking want to watch all the Friday the 13th movies.
Which surprises me because I feel like I guess the newer Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I actually really enjoy the new one, which is not good, but
which Friday the 13th is the best one? I know we did this. I don't remember.
I can never decide between 4 and 6.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I go
back to like I like 1 a lot.
Yeah,
I like 1 a lot.
A lot of people do. No. Like 1, 2, and 3. Actually, 1, 2, and 3 for a lot of folks is like.
Do you remember the story of the first one? How when I watched it for the first time? It was at my apartment. So I had an apartment, and Ryan used to basically live there.
Yeah.
He was sleeping on the couch all the time, and that's where we played Silent Hill together. And then it was like, you're not here. I can't play Silent Hill without you because I'm too scared. That's where I watched Friday the 13th for the first time, the first movie, and I was actually scared because the house was dark, or the room was dark. I was like, this is a really good movie. And I go back to like, yes, 4 is really good. 6 is really fucking good. and but 1 is like legitimately a well-made movie. So
I appreciate them more in their pure. To me, their pure.
yeah,
form.
pure as a word. Yeah,
Because 4 was like when they were really figuring it out as like a, I don't know, and then
4.
6 was the self-aware, like figuring it out that this is actually a fun franchise.
The guy from Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Oh no, you know what? Yeah, if you want to do favorite horror, I'm gonna go Return of the Living Dead. I love that franchise.
No, I'll
even the bad newer ones, they're all still so fun. They're so fun.
But like, you know what? It's been so long. I told you. I said. I mean, I didn't. I rewatched the first and second Hellraiser.
Better than Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and then like Land of the Dead. Like that franchise. It's different though, right?
It is different. Isn't that weird?
But it's a horror franchise.
Because that's like a one person that's driving the whole thing, as opposed to like a studio franchise.
That's interesting to think about that way.
Because
none of them.
I don't know why it's different, but that's what makes it different.
Because Sean Cunningham directed them or wrote?
Friday the 13th is absolutely
every time it's just like totally different.
Yeah. That went through lots of different permutations.
Like even writers though, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right. Different writers, different directors. You had Tim Miner, you had whatever, and different Jasons. Like I don't know.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
See, I don't know yet.
Oh, really?
I'm saving that for you, my friend.
So you haven't seen them all?
Mm-mm.
You, even like randomly throughout the years?
I've literally only seen the first one and Freddy vs. Jason, and that's it.
I see a podcast coming up in our future.
I've been saving it for you.
Okay, that's
okay.
I thoroughly enjoy those movies.
Yeah,
I'm curious if you watch them, you might.
I'm dying to watch them, especially the third one. Everything, so many things I want to see. New Nightmare.
I don't want to watch New Nightmare.
I want to watch New Nightmare.
I don't want to watch. Didn't they reboot?
I just watched Scream. I'm ready to watch New Nightmare.
Oh. Didn't they make more after New Nightmare? Like
I don't know, but.
After Freddy vs. Jason, did they make...
Well, they did there was a Platinum Dunes remake thing, and everybody hated it.
Okay, see, I don't want to watch that, but I
don't care about that one.
We do our podcast, we watch everything, but the first 4 or 5, I genuinely, I want to watch them again.
I own them all on Blu-ray, and literally the only reason I haven't watched them all is because of you.
Oh, good. Well, it's October.
Yeah.
You got something to do, I got something to do.
All right, cool.
So we'll call it there. This has actually been really good. It went long, but I feel like in a good way, maybe. I don't know. This is not our return. We're not back yet. This is just something that we do because it's part of us. But like I said, I do see a podcast in our future in the next month or two, probably in November sometime. I'm doing a lot of construction, and this room, I posted pictures on Instagram of what it looks like to try to make this recordable. I think it still sounds like shit. I don't have enough lights. I don't have soft boxes. I bought more mic stands. I'm not ready yet. So don't get excited. Get excited. I like that you're excited, but don't expect anything.
I'm not going to get excited.
So good night. Or as Jay's 2 cents would say...